ABC Sport. You're listening to the 2025 AFL Premiership season.
Don't get better than this.
On your radio,
Sport Digital.
and on the ABC Listen app.
Your Sunday of footy rolls on here. Next stop, Docklands, under the roof on this cool autumn day in Melbourne. As we prepare for Hawthorn, flag favourites a fortnight ago, now smarting from back-to-back losses. Today, they'll meet West Coast. And, of course, they're just keen for any sort of win of this season and the first of their new era under Andrew McQualter. I wouldn't say diplomacy is at an all-time high between these two sides either after Sam Mitchell's ongoing communication with certain personnel. Of course, the Hawks already have Tom Barrass, and the spotlight sort of continues around Oscar Allen, who in fact returns to the West Coast Eagles side today. Welcome to Sunday Footy on ABC Sport. My name is Brett Sprigg. The opening bounce is still just under 40 minutes away here, but we'll be going inside the Eagles camp in just a matter of seconds. Joel Peterson will call the action here alongside me. G'day, Joel.
Good to see you, Spriggy. Good game for the gossip columnists, maybe more than neutral supporters potentially. But the Eagles, they went close last week, didn't they? Where they were 2 points away from Essendon. Hopefully they can take that next step. Carlton skipper Karen Peterson is here with us. G'day, Kez.
G'day, Spriggy.
And Hall of Famer, 300 gamer Nathan Burke joins us here at Docklands as well. Hello,
Berkey. Everyone. Happy Sunday afternoon.
Yes, indeed. No late team news here. Each side with a total of 3 selection changes and the respective subs are Bailey McDonald for the Hawks and Noah Long for West Coast. And just like that, the 5th member of our team is Alexia Pesce. She is boundary side today and currently in the West Coast Eagles camp. Lex.
Hello, guys. Thanks for having me. I am with Luke Shuey as well, and you just mentioned there Tom Barrass. He's about, 50 metres from us, Boots? And we're eyeing him off. What's it like when you go up against a premiership teammate of your own, but now he's on the other side, first time he's facing his old side?
Yeah, that's the game we're in. That happens. Plenty of guys have done it. Absolutely love him. He's played a lot of footy with him. Obviously won a flag together, but he's a good man. I miss him, but fingers crossed he doesn't get near it today.
What do you say to your forwards now that he's in the back line? I mean, you know him better than most. What do you say to them this week?
Kick it on his head and let Liam jump on him and take mark of the year. That'd be nice. No, don't kick it to him. He's a very good player. He held up the fort with Gov for many years over in the West, and he's still doing his thing. So, but they've got good players down there everywhere you look. So he's not the only one we need to keep an eye on.
And on that, it's not going to be an easy game. I think we can say that straight up. What do you guys do? What's for Hawthorn's biggest strength, and what have you guys been doing this week to make sure you can at least nullify some of them somewhere?
Oh, their strength this year when they've been at their best has been their ability to win the contest and get inside to out with plenty of speed. You look at some of their small forwards that get up the ground. They've got a really powerful midfield. If you let them get on top inside and they get the footy outside the contest, they'll carve anyone up. So I know their record over the last few weeks isn't flattering for them, but they've played some really good teams and they've played some really good footy in those periods too. Amazing win against GWS down in Tassie. So they're still one of the best teams in the comp.
Luke Shuey on ABC Sport. Kez and Berkey's all yours.
Luke, g'day, it's Karen Peterson up here. You mentioned the strength of the Hawthorn midfield at the moment. They're rolling around as the number one team in terms of scoring from stoppage. Conversely, it's certainly not a strength for you guys at the moment. The last 6 weeks have been pretty ordinary as far as the clearance differential is concerned. What do you go to work on today? Is it technique? Is it personnel? Is it structure? Is there something that you can put your finger on at the end of the game? You're going to look at it and go, yeah, we got on top there. Yeah,
we've had to go at all the above for today. So, it's an area we have to match them in. Otherwise, it's certainly not going to be overly easy to get close to winning. So we need to start well. If you let them get a jump on you and with the firepower they've got up forward, they get some supply from clearance, they're going to kick a good score. So we need to be ready to go from the start. We've got some youth going through our midfield as well, as do they. But, Harley, Hutchie, the inclusions of Jack Graham to our team he's been huge for us this year. I know we haven't won a game, but he's played some really good footy at times, and his leadership for these young boys today is going to be really important. So it's going to be a really good challenge. I'm really excited to see how our young boys go against them.
Now, Luke, Nathan Burke here, mate. Good luck today.
Thanks, Berkey.
Andrew McQualter, ex-teammate of mine. I can't imagine him sort of firing up. He was a fairly mild-mannered sort of a character.
You got him wrong, Berkey.
Got him then, yeah. Can he get a bit angry?
No, he's really good, mate. He's someone who demands really high standards that are controllable. So things that you can always make sure you're doing and are a choice. And if you don't uphold them, then he will give you the feedback the right way. But he's also had an amazing ability this year when, shit hits the fan for us. He's got a calm head on his shoulders, and he's got a really good ability to bring the boys back to the present and understand what's happening in the game and try and reset their focus. And although we've had some bad losses, we've seen periods where we've been able to stem momentum and get on top for little periods, which have been some of the little wins we've found this year with some real youth in our side. So he's already having a really good impact. We'd love to get him his first win.
I think you're going to go shortly, Luke. Have you had a coffee with Sam Mitchell at any stage the past few days?
Just a couple over the last couple of days, mate. Nothing over the top.
All the best. Yeah, all the best for today.
Good on you. Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Luke Shuey there with Alexia Pesce in the West Coast Eagles camp. I was going to say something more there as well, and I just cut him off. But it is part of the thread of today, isn't it, as far as the relationship that, of course, he has, Luke Shuey himself, with Sam Mitchell, a former teammate, and, of course, a member of the coaching staff at the West Coast Eagles before becoming the Hawthorn main man. And yes, Oscar Allen comes back in. So just to recap all of that, the team news in full. Hawthorn, they of course lose Connor Nash through suspension. Luke Bruce, who's being managed, and CJ Jath, last week's sub, is omitted. Back in comes Jack Ginnivan, he certainly responded after his axing last week with 4 goals from 22 disposals in the VFL. Henry Huswaite, who's also been in good form at Box Hill, is back in, and the sub is Bailey McDonald for just his 3rd career game. For the West Coast Eagles, 3 changes also for them. I mentioned Oscar Allen. Noah Long is back in. He's the sub. And also back in is the premiership defender, Tom Cole. Out goes last week's sub, Tom Gross, which does surprise me a little bit as well. A few of those guys not getting opportunity at West Coast at selection committee. Tim Kelly has had that toe injury. He's out today. And Harry Edwards also omitted. So as I said, Noah Long is the Eagles sub. They at least got close last week, Kez and Berkey. They had better energy, West Coast, across most of that game. They should be refreshed, as it was also a full 9 days ago. Do you get a sense they are getting closer, or was it just a confluence of Essendon's shortcomings that allowed them a sniff last week?
Look, I think Essendon are up and down. They can't put together 4 good quarters. So I think West Coast probably just capitalised on the Essendon's downtime, which sort of kept them in the game. But I think Luke Shuey sort of hit the nail on the head there. But they're looking for good periods. It might be a good quarter here or a good half. How long can they maintain that good form ball before they actually drop away? And I think Essendon, in a very similar boat, can't put 4 quarters together. So that's why it ended up pretty close last week.
Look, I've got to give West Coast a little bit of credit too. Like, they came out absolutely firing out the gates. The likes of Jake Waterman kicking 4 goals. It didn't matter where they put it inside forward 50 for him last week. He managed to clunk it and go back and kick it. So a little bit of credit needs to go to them, albeit I do agree with Berkey that Essendon are on that roller coaster journey. The difference is just the ability to sustain that for 4 quarters and then be able to do it consistently week in, week out, which is always going to be a challenge of a young group. But, Luke, we just mentioned a few of their young guns that are starting to show a little bit of form through middle of the ground. They would be very happy with the way that they played in patches last week. Should remind you as well that we do have full coverage of the game happening at the MCG. So Carlton Geelong happening there. The Blues lead 6-4-40 to the Cats 3-3-21 midway through the second term. So a full call available via the ABC Listen app. Just look for the ABC AFL button. Earlier at Carrara, Gold Coast beat Sydney by 38 points in the end. They kicked 12 straight at one stage. Just after half-time, the Gold Coast Suns, Ben King had 5 in the end. Bailey Humphrey kicked 4, and they were the first winners today of our 3 games on this Sunday of footy on ABC Sport. The numbers suggest, Berkey and Kez, that Hawthorn have been slow starters. So a differential of 42 points in their combined opening 10 minutes of games this year. I know it's a cliche, but there may well be a thought from West Coast. Well, if we get the start, perhaps things can go our way.
I think that's blown out a little bit by what happened down in Launceston against GWS. I think they were like 30-odd points down at quarter time, possibly even more when there was a gale blowing to one end of the ground, and then Hawthorn did the same thing in the second quarter and got themselves back into the game. But I think Hawthorn are just a side who are 90% nailed down how they want to play the game. When they nail it, it looks fantastic. It's great, but sometimes it can just lose its way for small periods. And if that's at the start, well, the other team can score. So they're still a work in progress, the Hawks, for me. They're not the finished product by a long shot. But 2 straight losses, so keen to turn their form line around here today against the very lowly West Coast Eagles. So it's 8th versus 18th as it currently stands on the AFL ladder. Kieran Peterson, Nathan Burke, Brett Sprigg, Joel Peterson, Alexia Pesha here. Sunday footy on ABC Sport. The other thing, I suppose, Kez, is just if West Coast can find some belief at any stage, if they are up in the game and they sense an opportunity, when you're 0-6, potentially 0-7, 0-8, do you have the belief that you actually can see out a game and win it if the opportunity presents? And I suppose when you go through this sort of lull of form they've had for a couple of years now, is can they actually believe they can win? Yeah, you're absolutely spot on, and part of that is actually manufacturing that belief as well. And that's the challenge of the coaching staff and particular leadership group throughout the week is, yes, you can get a sniff of belief during the game, and they absolutely would have had that. They put themselves... Andrew McQualter talked about putting themselves in a winning position last week, which they absolutely did. So they would take enormous belief from that. But equally, they get themselves in that position again and know the feeling of being overrun by a better team, which unfortunately happened to them last week. So part of it is going to be, going back throughout the week and finding little bits and pieces that almost in a way you can blow up a little bit, in terms of the belief within the group and try and manufacture that moving into the week on week. Because otherwise, what you're absolutely spot on, particularly, it's not just this season we're looking at for West Coast, it's over a period of time where it becomes really hard work, really, really, really hard work. And, if they find themselves a couple of goals down, eyes start rolling and you start to go, here we go again. So it's manufacturing belief within game and then cementing and, I suppose, in a way, manufacturing that during the week coming into games as well. They have a poor recent record against the Hawks as well, the Eagles. So they lost 3 in a row by an average margin of 67 points. That was thanks largely to a 116-point result that they suffered in Launceston a couple of years ago. I want to pivot to the Hawks, though, Berkey, and ask about Jack Ginnivan. And I suppose when you, as a coach, make a change, as Sam Mitchell did last week, and send him back to the twos, you get that response. And I suppose Jack Ginnivan did give that response pretty emphatically in the VFL last week. Yeah, all depends on what the reasons were. Was it just simply, hey mate, your work rate isn't there, or you're not getting to the right spots, or we just want you to go back, get some confidence and then come back up? Was it because you haven't been training hard enough and we're not quite sure about your dedication, you need a reality check? We didn't quite get the answer of why he actually went down. So what I think I know about Sam Mitchell is that as good as he is at devising a game plan and getting players to play a certain way, I think he would equally be good at getting inside and understanding what's going through a player's head and being able to make some little, conversations and little jibes, drop here and all that sort of stuff. I reckon he'd be a bit of a master at that too. I want to focus on that then, and with your coaching hat on, I suppose, is knowing when you've got the response. And so it's not just about kicking 4 goals and 20-odd touches, but you want to see, I guess, a bit more in that next game back in the ones as well. But, as to your sort of coaching mindset when you make a decision like that, the outcome you expect. Yeah, so it's performance and outcome. Sometimes you perform, but you don't get the outcome that you want. Sometimes you get the outcome that you want, but you don't actually perform like that. If he kicked 4 goals because he's got 4 handballs over the top end of the goal square, yeah, he got the outcome of 4 goals, but that probably wasn't the performance that Sam Mitchell wanted. Sometimes he could actually get 26 possessions, play extremely, extremely well, but doesn't get the 4 goals. So does that mean he performed badly? No. So you've got to make a real big distinction between outcome and performance. Is this sort of thing just going to be something we expect across Jack Ginnivan's career? I mean, I suppose early stage he's been a very outspoken sort of presence, and he does things on the field which polarise. I mean, it may just come with maturity, I suppose, Kez, but are we going to expect maybe that this will be the sort of thing Sam Mitchell does to get something out of Jack Ginnivan? Well, possibly, and particularly if they're getting the response that they're after from him. And I agree with Berkey, and probably a lot of it has got to do with his attitude and application as much as performance and outcome as well, and what that looks like during the week. Does he sulk around? I can't imagine, given the character that we see, away from the footy field and those sort of things, that he's the sort of guy to sulk around. But there's a lot of things that go into the selection decisions and upholding values and all those sorts of things throughout the club as well. But I feel like he's found his
his place at Hawthorn, and the celebration of the unique individuals that they've got there. And we see, particularly last week, and you're right, it is polarising to some people, around the footy industry, media and fans alike, the way that sometimes Hawthorns carry on and all those sorts of things. Depends on what side of the fence you sit on that as to whether you enjoy it or whether it really turns you off. But it is going to be the sort of thing for him that it gets him going clearly. He likes to live on the edge. You can see that with his behaviour, and he's going to make some mistakes. But if they get the response from him the way that they have, I think they'll be pretty prepared to live with it.
I actually think small forward is potentially the hardest spot to play in today's football, to be consistent. They used to say centre half forward was the toughest spot to play, but at least you get the ball kicked to you at centre half forward. Small forwards have got to rely on the crumbs and the spills and the gaps and all that sort of stuff, and that's really hard to be consistent in that particular spot.
I reckon we've got a couple of kindred spirits with Jack Ginnivan up the back today. Spriggy, I reckon Berkey and Kez, very similar in the way they go about it. Just, right out there on the edge, celebrations, that kind of thing.
And you're right, it's not just him, it's part of the Hock bar. I know you're bound but still, but as far as his teammates, there is a bit more of that around the place as well.
The numbers, Sam Mitchell's alluded to this a few times so far this season, that their game isn't where they want it to be, as you say. They're a work in progress. And the numbers, when you sort of look at the scoring profile from what they were last year to what they were this year, are interesting. So last year, of course, they had the slow start, but they really rattled home. The big differences between what they did last year and what they're doing this year are the scores from turnover, and particularly from their forward half. So for the bulk of last year, they're the 8th best scoring team from turnover, 49 points a game. This year they are 15th. They are 41 points a game from turnover. Last year they were the 6th best team at scoring from their forward half. This year so far, they are the 15th best team at scoring from their forward half. Where they have made up for that is what Kez alluded to a little bit earlier. They're the best team in the competition at the moment at scoring from centre bounce. They're scoring 21 points a game. They kicked 4 goals 6 last week. 12 points is the AFL average, so they're well in excess above that. And last week, they scored more points from centre bounce than West Coast has all season. Yeah. So that is a powerful element of their game that hasn't necessarily been there. But if they can then get guys like Ginnivan back up and running and find that connection inside the forward 50, look out.
It's not just the connection inside forward 50, though. And Berkey nailed it before when he was talking about this. It is one of the hardest positions because so much focus on those positions is on their defensive pressure, and that speaks to what you're talking about there, Joel. You have to work so hard to earn the ball back, and if you don't get a deflection, or if your defensive pressure is nowhere near where it needs to be, that can often be the reason that you find yourself out of the team, as opposed to what your inside 50 connection is, or how many goals you're kicking, or whatever it is. So, yeah, it's an interesting stat, and I'm sure that wouldn't be celebrated inside Hawthorn at the moment. They'd be going to work on being able to, once they've lost the ball, win the ball back and keep it in their forward half as much as it is from the penetration that they get off their half back line.
Yeah, and no doubt Sam Mitchell knows those stats like the back of his hand, those ones that you just mentioned then, and you can't keep going to the well with the same thing and expect a different result. So he had to make changes, and Ginnivan was the one to come out, and whether that sparked up the rest of them, gave somebody else an opportunity, we'll find out today. Because
the Hawks aren't really a score from intercept or score from D50 team at the moment, do we think West Coast might try and utilise a different game style to try to, take advantage of that?
I don't know whether they're at the stage of their development where they can play around with their game style. They just need to nail a game style and try and get that as best as they possibly can. Good teams can make adjustments. They're not there yet.
The Eagles are out there first here at Docklands. The crowd filing in. By the way, I did see a lot of West Coast Eagles fans out there. So it's still school holidays for a little bit longer.
Brown, blue, colourblind, are you?
No, I did see a lot of Hawks fans, but an inordinate number of West Coast fans around the place. Families, kids, all in blue and gold.
Lots of the number 9 out there too.
So Harley Reid's probably a fair draw card over here in Victoria.
Absolutely, but so who knows? They might provide some voice here under the roof at Docklands, and the opening bounce here, by the way, is just under 20 minutes away. It is, of course, the continuation of Anzac Appeal Round on the Anzac Day weekend, so we'll have the full observance taking place in about 10 minutes from now at the MCG. Carlton 8-5-53 leads Geelong 4-4-28. It's getting closer to half-time there. The Blues now out by 25 points in that game. Earlier, the Suns beat the Swans on the Gold Coast by 38 points. Your texts always welcome, 0437 774 774. Don't forget to add your name. Let us know where you're texting from. 0437 774 774. Yeah, I don't get a feeling hearing from Luke Shuey that there is sort of too much overthinking. When you're 0-6, it's just a matter of trying to do the fundamentals right. And the Eagles are out there warming up at the Lockett end of Docklands. Tom Barrass against his old side. So there is a bit of... there's always a little story there when you've got someone coming up against their premiership winning teammates. As the Hawks make their way out onto Docklands. As I say, it's a cool day here in Melbourne. All the heat inside this roofed stadium, and Tom Barrass out there among those Hawthorn players led out by their captain James Sisley. But Tom Barrass and up against potentially, I suppose, Jake Waterman, who's also in form.
Yeah, interesting one, this one. A couple of comments from Tom over the last couple of weeks around learning to play defence in a different way. West Coast Eagles, he was pretty much back shoulder, and that was it. And now they're asking him to play in front in an attacking way, and he's getting his head around a whole new way of playing. So he's not overly happy with his performances so far, and he's watching video and saying to himself, well, why on earth was I in that position there, and why I should be there? And just an interesting, different way both teams have gone about sort of teaching their defenders how to play. So I think he's probably the best is ahead of him once he actually learns how to play the modern way of defending, Kez, which is not just that back shoulder getting towed around like a caravan.
It's changed a lot, hasn't it? Probably in the last 5 or 6 years, really. The way that teams are structuring up and often dropping what seems to be the wing position back as a spare number behind the ball, which allows exactly what you just talked about, Berkey. You know, the ability to play in front and play aggressive defence. And I sort of alluded to it a little bit before, but teams are really shifting to this fast penetration, transition game style off their half-back line, and you can't play that if you're playing back shoulder defence. You can only do that if you're playing aggressive and you're playing in front, because you can allow the run and carry. And clearly that comes with risk as well. If the ball gets out the back, you're going to give up a few goals. But the teams, and Hawthorn's really, in the last probably 2 seasons, particularly the back end of last year, been the ones that have really led the way with that. They love to run in numbers, and the only way you can do that is by playing in front. So it'd be a steep learning curve compared to playing, that real sort of traditional back shoulder. He's got a fair few very accomplished defenders down there with him, and I'm sure Sicily, when he's down there, is really driving the show and keeping him in check as well.
Hawthorn last start losers on Easter Monday, and of course they have lost 2 in a row, going back to, of course, the gather round closing ceremony where they had their colours lowered by Port Adelaide. And I suppose there's a sense of occasion around those last 2 games, Berkey, but today it's a bit more, maybe we'll see a more methodical approach from Sam Mitchell's band. It's a bit more off-Broadway. It's the West Coast Eagles, who didn't win a game in Victoria last year. They were not winning many games anywhere, to be honest, but whether it's just a matter of going out there at home, albeit not their usual home ground. Their only home game this year at Docklands for Hawthorn, and it doesn't quite have the same sort of stage as Easter Monday or the gather round spectacle.
Yeah, interesting to see whether they do what they did last week. It was almost handball crazy last week watching them play. They were handballing to guys with their back towards goal and sideways backwards. It's almost like we don't want to kick the ball, and you wonder whether that was just to beat that opponent last week or whether that's an addition to their game, because we know that they've got such great foot skills, this team, and they can slice their way through using their feet. But the addition of all the handballs last week, whether that was just to win that one or that's a new evolution of their game.
Speaking of foot skills, if you were James Sicily, would you be just a little bit toey to get your first kick this afternoon?
Well, I reckon that's probably the worst game he's ever played. Last week. It was a terrible one. So
he was officially noted with 7 clangers,
yep.
And I reckon that might have been half what he deserved.
Yes. No, you expect him to bounce back this week, because he's too good a player to play like that 2 games in a row.
His most inefficient game kicking-wise since 2015, his very first season of the competition.
And I'm sure he's remembering that one right at the end of the game where he kicked it out on the full.
But they are ranked number 1 from centre bounce clearance. How big a challenge is that for the West Coast midfield without Tim Kelly especially?
Yeah, it's enormous. West Coast at the moment are at 18th in clearance, they're 18th in uncontested possessions, and they're 18th in contested possessions. So all the metrics that you go looking for in terms of work rate, and Luke Shuey again alluded to it before, whether it's technique or structure or whatever it is, they're just not getting it right at the moment, and they're coming up against a team that is the number one scoring side from clearance, which Joel said is, it's probably the biggest change in their game in comparison to last year. So today's going to be an enormous challenge for them. The challenge, I think, for West Coast is going to be not trying to fix everything all at once, because you young midfielders going through there, you don't want to give them too much to think about, and particularly the might of Hawthorn in the middle there, and the way that they're scoring so efficiently, it can become unravelled very, very quickly for them. So I hope that they just go to work on one thing, whether it's the structure or whether it's the technique, whether it's owning the inside, owning the outside, whatever they've decided to do. I hope they go to work on that and just try and, you're not going to stop Hawthorn from scoring from clearance because they're so good at it, but can you limit how many opportunities you get? Or the other thing that I'll go looking for today is what's their post-clearance work like? So once the ball has been cleared, how quickly do they move away from the stoppage? Can they beat their opponents out of the space and try and outwork their opponents to get to the next contest? Because that's the other thing that Hawthorn are very good at is, yes, they win the ball, but they're also very good at getting to the next contest and keeping that ball rolling forward. So it's an enormous challenge for West Coast today.
It is. It should give them a bit of confidence that they've got Waterman and Oscar Allen up forward. So they don't necessarily need to overpossess and muck around with the footy. And if I'm Andrew McGualter, I'm just saying, look, let's give these guys every opportunity that we possibly can. If you get an opportunity to get it inside 50, take it. Don't muck around with the footy. Don't over handball. Don't go too short. Let's get it down there and at least match Hawthorn for inside 50s, because we've got some guys down there who are quite handy.
Well, they've potentially got 4 blokes that can take a catch. Big Jack Williams kicked a couple of big goals last week, and then young Archer Reid, of course, he's really showing his stuff up front as well. So they've finally kind of got that tall timber. There's some work to do with some of it, but gee, Waterman makes a big difference coming back.
Big battle in the middle with Matt Flynn up against Lloyd Meek, and it's obviously a curious thing. I mean, Lloyd Meek is a good ruckman, but his hit-outs aren't to advantage. Of course, teams don't have to win hit-outs to advantage. They can win the clearance any way they like. Big task with Matt Flynn against Lloyd Meek today as well.
Yeah, he's certainly a big fella, Lloyd. I don't put a lot of stock in hit-outs, to be totally honest.
No, I don't put a lot of stock in ruckman.
But not a lot, no.
West Coast, though, minus 90 in clearance differential from centre bounce this year.
Yep.
That is a big number.
It's the worst 6-week stretch of any team since that stat has probably been recorded. So, yeah, they've got a lot to overcome.
I'm very upset you didn't hit Luke Shuey, their stoppage coach, with that stat, Kez. You let me down there, you big chicken.
We're kind of rushed because they had a team meeting, so you can have him at have him until 4:11, and then we're on air at 4:06, very specific ABC Sport broadcast times. And we had a few questions to ask him. Alas, he made his way back in there and avoided the onslaught of Karen Peterson and Nathan Burke.
Good save,
questions
thanks,
here.
Briggy.
The crowd are filling in here, which is good. Still filing in, and I don't know what to expect. As I mentioned, this is kind of it's rare. This is Hawthorn's only game at Docklands this year. Of course, they play the majority of their home games at the MCG or Launceston, but one of only 2 games they'll play under the roof this year at all. This is West Coast's first game in Victoria this year, the first of 5, and again, didn't win a game in Melbourne last year. They were 0-6.
They've lost 10 of their last 12 here, and this between these two teams, so they've played at 8 venues, these two clubs. They've played here the least out of anywhere. They've played at Princes Park more than they have played here at Docklands in their history.
Well, in my mind, there's 3 grounds that you've got no excuses for playing well at, and there's this one, there's the MCG. It's impossible to play bad at the MCG, and Optus Stadium over in Perth. It's a great ground for football, so anytime you play in one of those 3, no excuses.
Speaking of the MCG, halftime there, Carlton leads Geelong by 19 points at the major break, and it does sound good for Blues fans, but I will remind people, Kaz, that Carlton have led at every halftime break this year so far. It doesn't always mean everything, but they control things against Geelong for the time being. So you can hear a full call of that and far more expert commentary from not me just being sarcastic on the ABC Listen app. Just look for the ABC AFL button. The West Coast Eagles, by the way, are wearing a special Anzac Appeal round Guernsey, which is it's a very nice, simple design, which features a silhouette of soldiers in front of a setting sun down low on the jumper. Otherwise, they're in their usual royal blue with the gold wings, and Hawthorn line up on this broadcast wing, the dockside wing of Docklands, as well as we get ready for our Anzac observance.
Players, coaches and umpires as we honour the Anzacs and all those who gave their lives serving their country. Our thoughts are also with those currently on active service.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. Lest we forget.
Please remain standing for the Australian National Anthem to be performed by Zandra.
The last post, the rouse, the anthem for the final time on Anzac Day weekend in 2025. The Hawks and the Eagles not too far away here at Docklands. There are no late changes for either side. The subs for Hawthorn, Bailey McDonald, and for West Coast, Noah Long among their inclusions this week as well. And it looks as though Nathan Burke and Karen Peterson, Oscar Allen will play down back. So that's the shift that we expect from West Coast here today on his return to the side.
Interesting. I always think it's better to score goals to win games rather than stop them. But we'll see what happens.
Well, I guess if he's got Waterman there as well, kicked 4 against the Bombers last week. He's hoping for more from Liam Ryan, I'm sure, as well. Here's Andrew McQualter and Jamie Cripps and the veterans up that way as well. But yes, the suggestion seems to be he will swing forward if required, but may well start down back Oscar Allen on his return to the West Coast Eagles side. We are just moments away from the opening bounce here at Docklands. Break it down for us, Carlton captain Karen Peterson and Hall of Famer Nathan Burke on ABC Sport.
Well, I think this game is going to be won and lost in the middle. I think we've established that. We've got the 18th worst clearance team in West Coast up against the number 1 scores from clearance team in Hawthorn. So if West Coast can find a way to stem the onslaught that Hawthorn is going to look to produce in the middle of the ground, they're going to be in with some sort of chance. I am surprised by that Oscar Allen move. I totally agree. I'd much prefer to see him up forward and be a big target for the midfielders when they do, or if they can, get their hands on the possession coming out of clearance. I'd much rather see him up forward. So I don't know what if required means. I think that's going to be if required pretty quickly from Andrew McQualter to send him forward and just to see what they can do, Berkey.
Yeah, going to be an interesting one, that one. For me, the West Coast, whilst their talent is at the level of the other teams, they have to hang their hat on something. And to me, the easiest thing to hang your hat on is just immense pressure and effort. If Hawthorn want to try and play this handball game like they did last week, that just invites pressure. If they can get numbers around the contest, really pick off the receivers of those handballs and nail every sweat on those receivers, turn the ball over in good parts of the ground, we know that they've got quality forwards that they can actually score goals with. So to me, look, the key to this whole game for West Coast is not how they move the ball and all that sort of stuff. It is pure and simply how much pressure can they put on Hawthorn, because if you don't pressure Hawthorn, they'll slice their way through you. So for these lower teams, they've got to have a brand. They've got to hang their hat on something. And for me, West Coast has to be that intense, fierce pressure.
We'll get a feel for things boundary side very shortly. The captains meet for the toss. Liam Duggan and James Sicily. Sicily in the sleeves, which he does quite often, and he points to the Coventry end, or the right of your radio dial here to start.
Probably a pretty easy decision between Oscar Allen and Liam Duggan as who was going to go in for the coin toss against Hawthorn, wasn't it?
I just find the whole thing, as you mentioned before, Joel, this element surrounding Oscar Allen and his future at West Coast.
Sort of this morbid fascination around it, isn't there?
It's semi-true watching this going, I wouldn't use him down back, but next year he can play it forward for me. It doesn't matter.
It's all a bit macabre.
It certainly is. We'll see if the West Coast can pull through for their first win of the campaign, or will Hawthorn avoid 3 straight defeats and reaffirm their flag ambitions here in the final game of round 7. Let's get a feel for things. Barrier side Alexia Pesha is there for us again. Lex, what's going on?
Good evening, guys. It's actually beautiful down here. Obviously, the roof is on. It doesn't look too dewy. I know the game here the other night, it was a bit slippery underfoot, so it doesn't look like that at all at the moment. The crowd is actually building. I will admit it's bigger than what I thought it would be. So good game ahead of us.
Absolutely. We were talking before about possible crowd fear, and I don't know what a good crowd, 15, 20 maybe. It's more than 20. That top level's open and it's filling up as well as we speak. So the opening bounce here is just moments away. Do you give West Coast a chance, Berkey and Kez?
No. Kez?
I was waiting.
Come on.
I was waiting for that, Berkey. Some of your best work I'm expecting today. I'm sorry, I don't give West Coast any chance at all. I think Hawthorn will jump out to an early lead and that'll be the way it'll go for the rest of the night.
LED lights are going berserk.
Good to see Henry Husthwaite starting in the centre square for the Hawks. He's been emergency for the last 4 weeks or so. Comes into the side. Glad he isn't the sub, chuck him straight in the middle, give him the opportunity.
Good VFL form of late, Henry Husthwaite among the inclusions this week. This is Sunday Footy on ABC Sport and getting us underway here at Docklands. You're with Joel Peterson.
So 2 big country lads in Lloyd Meek and Matt Flynn. Meek in the middle. Meek has the best of it in ruck, but it's taken away by Harley Reid for the Eagles. Handball across the centre circles. Hoff had it, lost it. Scooped up by the Hawks at half-back. Dashing clear is Newcomb. Loops the handball forward to Meek, who runs infield on the AFL logo. Kicks a high footy inside the arc. Gunston at the back. Worked his man under it. Paid to push. Jeremy McGovern got straight up, appealing to Eleni T. who duly paid the free kick as McGovern hands off to Marrick.
And Marrick does go beyond defensive 50, stretching for it down there. Jack Graham does rebound them off half-back West Coast. 2-on-2 on the outer wing. Going up there again, Williams. And now there's the follow-up tackle there on Meek. Flynn involved as well. Jack Williams tries again here for West Coast. The ball does jar free. They clear the area through Jaden Hunt, but it's out of bounds on the full into about row 5.
So Jack Gunston should be more experienced to know that you just can't push a guy fair and square in the back and take the mark. He's got to play that fairly, bring that ball to ground in the forward line.
Aggressive kick for the Hawks, looking for Weddle, cut off by Duggan, kicks inside forward 50 and finds Premiership teammate Tom Barras, who's pointing Jake Waterman in the early stages in Hawthorn colours for the first time against the old mob. Kicks out to Warple, who leaves Harley Reid in his wake. Bites a little kick off infield, looking for Morrison, who cemented his spot in this Hawthorn side early in the season. Morrison comes into the centre square for Impey. Impey now comes to the broadcast side. Hawks in possession. Here's D'Ambrosio.
D'Ambrosio goes for a bit of a dash. Now the hand pass off here. It was untidy, the hand pass here to Battle. Does retrieve it, goes inside 50 and fires the unmarked man. And a simple mark taken down there by Hardwick. And he's going to line up the goal here, or 4-goal, 40 out, slightly wide of centre.
Going to keep a track on tonight, Kez, on how many uncontested marks players, particularly small players, take inside their forward 50. Henry Huswaite had led at the ball. He dragged the West Coast defender towards him, and then it was just a simple kick over the top to the West Coast defender's opponent, unmarked inside 50.
Blake Hardwick, 1-2 against the Cats on Easter Monday. He crosses the 50 here with a neat-looking drop punt. Not quite neat enough. Crowd thought it was good. Umpire signalled quite early it was a behind. The first score of the game is Hawthorn's. West Coast are yet to score. 2.5 gone to the opening term. Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
Jeremy McGovern rolls in from fullback. Kicks outside looking for Cripps, who got a little nudge from Sicily. It's off hands over the line. It'll be tossed back into play. Left half forward for the Hawks. Spriggy said earlier, 8th and 18th coming in. Boundary umpire gets set. 2 big rucks lumber across. Meek disposes of Flynn, knocks it down to Morrison. Kick off a step from Hustwaite. Inside forward 50 for Hawthorn. Reaching over the top of Ginby was Duggan. And the Eagles co-captain takes the defensive mark. 20 out from the Hawthorn goal. It's the Hawks with the first score on the board. They lead by a point through 3 minutes.
Another co-captain is back there as well. Oscar Allen standing Mab Chol. True to our mail. He's in defence. Contest on the outer side. Going in low, Meek tries to extract the footy. Umpire says, give it to me. We'll ball it up.
Yeah, Oscar Allen is playing in defence, in case we haven't mentioned that. He's standing Marby or Chol.
Meek palms it down here. Harley Reid out after it now. Shares it there with Hoff, and he kicks down towards half forward for West Coast. And Waterman runs out of room. It's out of bounds for a throw-in at right half forward for the Eagles. Hawthorn are 1 behind. West Coast yet to score. 4 gone to the opening term. Sunday footy on ABC Sport. You're with Brett Sprigg, Joel Peterson, Karen Peterson and Nathan Burke, your experts.
Meek gets the front spot here at the boundary throw-in. Warple keeps it alive, paddles it in front of himself, picked up by Newcomb, who runs out of room. Back over the boundary, it'll be tossed in.
Not the most exciting first 5 minutes of football I've seen so far this year, Kes.
Come on, Nathan. Spark up. We're only 5 minutes in.
We've plenty of time for that later on.
2.5 hours to go. I'm sure one of the rucks will do something at some point to get you excited. Harley Reid comes crashing over the top of the pack. Lays a big tackle. Underneath it all was Hutchinson, who picks himself up, and we've got another ball up right half forward for West Coast.
Up it goes. Meek palms it down. Warple tries to trap it. Harley Reid. His teammate Hunt. Warple does win the football though. Hawthorn off half back. Tumbling ball. Cut off down there by Allen. Chol lays the tackle from behind. And the umpire ball up again on the outer side.
West Coast won't mind this though. They don't mind repeat stoppages, especially if Hawthorn aren't able to extract the ball from the contest and get that run and gun game that they're going. Repeat stoppage is not an issue for West Coast.
Warple dispossessed the tackle of Hutchinson. Hand pass from Flynn. Now going inside 50. Hoff, but Barras up in front. They rebound the football neatly here. Away goes Jarman Impey beyond defensive 50 down the corridor, and it works out very well. They keep the footy going through Ginnivan. Now comes wide to the flank. It is marked down there by Dylan Moore. Centering ball, honouring that lead, and finds the target down there. He was looking for Watson and he found him. 40 out on a slight angle right of centre.
Geez, that was a good kick by Moore. He just had so much composure to assess the options. He had a teammate running to the pocket. I think it was Gunston. It wasn't the right option. He just waited that second longer. Watson finds his way into the space and he hooked it around on his right foot.
2 goals, 2 on Easter Monday for the Wizard. Watson trots in, starts at left, it fades right across here. In fact, it'll pull up short and it's back on McGovern. So no change to our score. Hawthorn 1 behind, West Coast yet to score. 6 go on first term as West Coast look to move the football from that last line.
It was a pretty abject set shot from young Nick Watson. McGovern comes short to Baker. Spins the yellow Sharon in his hands before he launches it out toward the broadcast side. Williams coming over the top for the Eagles. Flynn in front, grabbed it. He was grabbed by Watson, who almost went piggybacking on the big man. Now Moore, he brings Flynn to ground. Still at half forward for Hawthorn. The Eagles chained it through. Hands, Reid got run down by Watson. The former under-18 combatants for Metro and Country. They reignite here at Docklands. And it's the Wizard who got the better of the Eagles magician on that occasion. Watson kicks inside 50. Gunston stretching, dragged down by Jaden Hunt. No free kick. Ball spills out of play near the junction of the 50 in the boundary. It'll be tossed back in. Hawks into attack. They've got the only score of the game, a minor one through 7 minutes.
He would have loved that, Nick Watson. That chase and tackle on Harley Reid. Letting them all about it as well. Crowd loved it too. Back in it comes. Meek in front of Flynn. Down here, neat delivery as Josh Ward wheels around. He'll just kick across half forward. Gathered on the half volley by Jaden Hunt. This is just by Morrison. Hand pass comes away here again. The Hawks queuing up. It comes to Warple. 30 out. Can he finish? No! He misses near side. Their second score of the game, a minor one. West Coast are yet to score. In fact, it should be 3 behinds. No, 2 behinds. West Coast yet to score. 8 go on first term. Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
Watson and Reid played a lot of footy together as well through the AFL Academy system. Marrick comes in from fullback to Tom Cole. Back into the team this week, the premiership defender. Comes back to Marrick, who's been deployed in defence this season for the Eagles and usually uses the footy pretty neatly. That's no exception to Hunt on the paint of the 50. Haven't been able to get any flow into their ball movement so far yet. The Eagles here at Docklands. Hunt forced into a dump kick long down the line. Rising in front was Archer Reid. He left it behind. Cripps out the back. Quick handball to Reid. And now on to Hoff, who slings it forward only as far as Sicily. Had it and lost it. Picked up by Hewitt. Handball out wide to Waterman. Now to Cripps. Tight against the boundary line. 50 from home. Kicks to the pocket. Had a good defensive effort from Battle to spoil it out of play. Williams couldn't latch onto it and it'll be tossed in. Right forward pocket for the Eagles, looking for their first score of the ball game.
Toss it back in. Opportunity here for West Coast. Stoppage inside 50. Archer Reid goes up. Warple waits for it here. Cripps provides some pressure. Come away here by Warple again. Quick hand pass. That was neat to Dylan Moore. They can rebound off half back here, the Hawks. It comes towards that 2-on-1. Floating across Flynn in the contest featuring Chol and Allen. Who can't control it in time. It's a throw-in on the city side of the Docklands. Third term underway at the MCG, by the way. Carlton leads by 13 points on Geelong. Full call of that available via the ABC Listen app, via the ABC AFL button. Hawthorn with the first 2 points of the game here. Back in it comes. Position well this time. Elijah Hewitt was good against the Bombers last week as well. Hoff sends it down the line. Cripps had a tuss there, beaten by Impey. And now it's come loose again out of that tackle from Hunt. Picked up again though by the Hawks. And they come back here towards Huswaite. Shapes the kick, goes the hand pass out wide though. Meek's kick was smothered. It'll drop here for Warple. He's just forward to the halfway. Goes the fend on Liam Baker. Still alive here, Hawthorn somehow. Meek's hurried kick up in the air. Flynn crashed in there on Cam McKenzie. West Coast get the footy back. Can they keep it moving now? Contest middle of Docklands. Good bump comes from Jack Graham. The ball though is locked in and it will be holding the ball going Hawthorn's way.
Battle takes the free kick after laying the tackle. Hands off to Amon. And now away to Meek. Meek A little one off to Morrison. Kicks inside the 50. It's a neat delivery. Gunston sprawls forth and marks. 45 from home, 10 in from the boundary. Left of centre. And Jack does look like he's going to go back and have a shot.
It was the first time we've seen some overlap run and handball from Hawthorn, and it just really opens up the West Coast defence. They haven't got the ability to set themselves and get in position. It's a much better ball movement, Hawthorn.
3 goals won last week against the Cat. 13 goals in his 4 games so far this season. The 3-time leading goal kicker, the sharpshooter. Jack Gunston is money with the set shot. And the Hawks are on the board in a major sense. 1-2-8. They lead West Coast, yet to score. 11 minutes played, opening term. Sunday footy on ABC Sport. Your experts are Nathan Burke and Karen Peterson.
Well, that was one of the few times where we've had a run past handball and then a look and kick inside the forward 50. West Coast had that opportunity through the middle of the ground. Yet the player running forward wanted to create something even more. Turned around, did a U-turn. I think it was Graham, lost the football, sat on it. Hawthorn went back the other way, went to Meek, one handball. Marek did a good job. He knew he couldn't stop Gunston's lead, so he made Gunston lead to the pocket, close to the boundary line, but Gunston was still good enough to put the ball through.
We start back in the middle here at Docklands. Wrapped up, Matt Chol, a big tackle there on Brady Hoff. The umpire says, yep, I'm in the ball.
Goodness me. Not sure much of an opportunity he had there.
Chol, front of the bullseye, goes high inside 50 again, leaping up, huge grab down there from Weddle. Deep in the left forward pocket. Repeat entry, opportunity for 2 in a hurry here for Hawthorn.
I was just about to say, I felt like he jumped early on that one, but he gave himself almost like a little double kick in the air, and geez, his athleticism then was on full display.
He was actually an earlier rising star nom when they smashed West Coast back in 2023 at Launceston by 20 goals. Good form against this opponent as Weddle lines up the kick and he misses near side. Jack Gunston showing up his younger teammates, Berkey, with a very neat one from the pocket a short time ago, and other than that, 3 behind. So 1-3-9 the Hawks. West Coast yet to score. 13 gone first term ABC Sport.
Eagles bring it into Baker. Kick exiting, looking for Cole. Slapped down by Connor McDonald. There to provide support was Davis to Marek. Grubber kick. Works out in the end, but then McKenzie caught Cole. All jarred loose. Umpire didn't need to pay the free kick. Spills to Hawthorn hands. Warple to Amon. Kick from halfway. Looking for Gunston inside forward 50. Controls it. Protects the drop. Gives it to Ginnivan. And Ginnivan's back on the goal scoring list. Jack wastes no time making his return to the big stage. And the Hawks have got a couple to open up a 15-point gap. 2-3 plays West Coast yet to score through 13 and a half of the opening term.
Well, that'll make him feel a bit better about himself and his return to the senior side. I did love the way that Gunston just found the space on the outside and put it to his teammates' advantage. The one knock on Hawthorn last week was their efficiency when they went inside forward 50, and they haven't got off to a particularly great start in today's game. 1 goal 3 before that Ginnivan kick. They're now 2 goals 3 and probably should be much further ahead than what they are at the moment. But a great start for Ginnivan, a really crafty forwards finish, and he'll feel certainly a lot better about himself, and great for his teammates to get around him as well.
Voice of Karen Peterson on ABC Sport. On the restart, overrun there, down there by Cam McKenzie, plucked away by Huff for West Coast, and now giving some dashes. Hutchison down the corridor, goes inside 50. It's chopped off. Now it's spilled by Barris. They'll rebound through Sicily. Kick was overcooked here. Duggan chops it off. Comes through for the Eagles. Goes deep to full forward. Waterman obliges. Read it well. And controls the overhead mark in the left forward pocket, 25 metres out.
I'd love for a Hawthorn teammate to get over to James Sicily there. He made an error with his foot skills, unfortunately, again. That's probably going to lead to a goal here if I haven't put the Moz on. Waterman, I think, lining up. It is. So just love his teammates to get over and just say, it's all right, settle there, we know we can do better than that.
Jake Waterman, 4 goals against Essendon last week. He opens up with a snap and curls it around, and West Coast do have their first goal. 1 straight 6. They trail Hawthorn, who are 2-3-15 midway through this opening term. Sunday footy on ABC Sport. Meanwhile, a goal for Ollie Dempsey at the MCG cuts Carlton's lead back to 7 points. 8-5-53 plays 7-4-46 in the third term there.
Here they go. Carlton crumbling. as usual. Okay, back at this game. West Coast, great forward pressure. Sicily feels that pressure, just Mungle kicks the ball out inside the centre square, it comes straight back in, and that's what West Coast need to do. If Hawthorn are allowed to set up their defenders and it comes in long and high, they'll win that 9 times out of 10. But if it comes in a little bit dirty, a little bit fast, they're out of position, that's when West Coast got the opportunities.
Hawks by 9, 16 played opening term. Meek back in ruck. Grabbed onto by Williams this time. Free kick to the Hawks, and the advantage taken by Moore. Kicks on the bounce inside the 50. Gathered by Hardwick. Outside the arc now to Chol. Back to D'Ambrosio. Around on the right boot. Low kick into the pocket. Looking for Gunston. Picked up at lightning speed by Dylan Moore. Flicked the handball away. Turned it over. Then it was turned over to Chol. He darts one into the pocket. Watson's pushed off it. Scooped up by Duggan. Hurries a kick outside the defensive 50. Might come back with interest. Impey dropped the mark. Picked it up, handball to Ward. Ward to Hustwaite, off a step, measures it, just the distance. Gee, given what we've seen so far this year, that was barely 15. And Connor McDonald's paid the mark, 45 from home, as good as directly in front.
It'll be interesting to know how wide these stripes are that they've mowed, because it went from one edge of the stripe to exactly the other edge of the stripe. To me, it's around about 12.5 metres.
So Connor McDonald with the set shot to answer back for the Hawks. Strikes it from 49 metres out, tugs it left and misses. Makes it a 10-point margin through 17 minutes of the opening term. Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
Do you mow those stripes in your lawn, Berkey? How far apart are yours?
I've got fake grass, mate.
Yeah, that's the smart thing.
Mowing's for suckers.
10 points is the Hawthorn break here, as Shel Peterson mentioned. 17 gone in the first term. They'll kick out through McGovern. The Eagles come beyond defensive 50. Up in front, Waterman is beaten this time by Weddle. Great pack grab, brings it back inboard. Controlled now by Josh Ward. His 48th AFL game. Goes back to find his skipper, Sicily. And wide here again for Impey. Slight switch to the outer side. Marking again here is Hustwaite. Hawthorn called to play on. Going from 50, up inside. Joel with a big leap. And it's knocked through for a minor score. So we saw Battle with a big attempt from beyond 50 and Chol with an even bigger leap. Minor score Hawthorn. 2-5-17. West Coast to one straight. 6-18 gone first term Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
Inside 50s at 11-5 in favour of the Hawks.
This man's been busy, Jeremy McGovern. Coming up for his 5th touch so far. Drives it outside defensively. Weddle again rises among a pack. Couldn't pull it in that time. Waterman off hands. Feeds it through Hunt. And away to Davis. Kicks down the broadcast side. Brian went early, but Sicily was camped under it. And intercepts for the Hawks. Handball off to Battle, who whips it across the defensive 50. Finds the outlet of D'Ambrosio. He pops it on over the top by foot to Moore. Hit him in stride, and Moore wants to go for the Hawks. He's centre of the city wing. Darts on a marauding run back in field. Places the kick across the defensive 50. Finds Battle. Handball off to Sicily. Back to Battle as the Hawks build.
Ryan almost runs him down. They go down the line here, the Hawks, which is chopped off by Matt Flynn. Takes the mark at left half back.
Good defence by the Eagles there. They made Hawthorn go side to side, and in the end a rush kick forward which was intercepted.
Flynn, speaking of rush kicks, he had more time there. Mark uncontested down there by Josh Battle. Works a hand pass forward. McKenzie evades a tackle as well. Goes inside 50 for the Hawks and floating across. A strong grab by Meek. Directly in front, 10 metres out. An opportunity here for the Hawks and more punishment for West Coast.
Yeah, that method of ball movement for West Coast, that high up and under kick from the half-back line, it's just putting it to the advantage of the Hawthorn defenders who are camped under it. Sicily and Weddle on the couple of occasions before then. They have to find a different route to goal, come back through the middle or go back and around, use a bit of shape.
Had his birthday during the week, Lloyd Meek, turned 27 for Madoka, and he misses. So they could have put this game to bed just about, the Hawks. They're 2-6-18. Not yet in the time on here in the opening term. West Coast are one straight 6. We've just hit the 20-minute mark in the opening term here at Docklands on ABC Sport.
It marks a 22-9 in favour of the Hawks. So Eagles just need to make Hawthorn defend for a period of time here. Just kick the ball around a bit.
Marrick cruises in from fullback, took a bounce, got it to Jinby, who comes steaming out from defensive 50, links up by hand with Hoff through the middle of the ground. Now Hutchinson off to Duggan, off to Hewitt. Oh, the last handball in the chain inside forward 50 missed the target. Hewitt was good enough to get it to Ryan. Ryan goes around the body and misses. Gee, it was lightning transition from the Eagles. They almost made a meal of it. And Liam Ryan just tugged the snap a little bit too much. 11-point game, 20 and a half gone in the opening term.
At the MCG, meanwhile, goals to Curnow and Durden. Carlton are out by 20 midway through that third term. A full call over by the ABC Listen app. As Hawthorn go beyond offensive 50 here, it's coughed up by Josh Battle. West Coast have numbers on the overlap. Duggan. Wide now to find Liam Ryan. Can't control the grab, 60 from goal. Good pressure came there from Impey. Gathered by Morrison. Picked up by Ryan. He balks around Morrison. Goes inside 50 and Harley Reid leads up, but again, no second bite there. And it's off and over for a throw-in out in the left forward pocket for West Coast. Hawthorn leads 2-6-18 to 1-1-7. 21 gone opening terms. Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
He didn't need a second grab at that, Harley. He should have taken that in one clunk. It was basically an uncontested mark on the lead.
Again, it was Josh Weddle who got the hand in there in the nick of time. Meek reaches across, Archer Reid. Inside forward 50 here for the Eagles. Here's Weddle again. A little bit of everything so far. High dump kick outside the defensive 50s. Pulled in by McGovern for the Eagles. What can he set up? Comes into the centre square now for Duggan. 2 kicks from home. Rolls onto that left boot. Sends it to the pocket. Archer Reid's the target. Coming through was Hunt. He got run into, grabbed by a couple of Hawks and dragged to the turf. We'll have a ball in just inside the boundary line, left forward pocket. Eagles in attack. They trail by 11 through 22 minutes.
Umpire wastes no time. A ball in the air, tipped out the back there. Davis out after it there, meets Impey front on. The ball was locked in there and the ball up again. Opportunity for West Coast with the stoppage. Umpire Eleni T. Throws it in the air. Shucked out of the ruck there by Archer Reid. Snaps high towards the top of the square. Waterman crashes the pack. It missed Weddle. Ryan lays the tackle down there as well. Ball comes loose somehow. Hand pass ricochets around. Oh, he's involved for West Coast. Hutchinson's kick was smothered. Still there for the Hawks defenders. And at last, Weddle snakes away and goes long beyond defensive 50.
He didn't look and only found Tom Cole, who was stationed under the football. Chips short to Allen for the Eagles. Thought about the handball over the top to Cole. Comes back to his co-captain in Duggan, right on halfway. McGovern now for West Coast, All-Australian last year.
This is better by the Eagles, making the Hawks defend for a period of time.
Putting some control into the contest. Now McGovern hits and hopes long. Kick on the head of Flynn. Couldn't mark. Oh, he's got mown down. Holding the ball. Terrific tackle from the opposite 16 in D'Ambrosio. Matt Owies didn't hear the footsteps. And Massimo wins it back for the Hawks in the left back pocket.
Home side leads by 11. 23 and a half gone to the opening term here at Docklands. D'Ambrosio thumps it beyond defensive 50. Big sit on the outer side and the mark will be paid. Done out there, John Newcomb. Newcomb wheels and goes quickly here to find Gunston. Just for the wing at left half forward. Still a long way from home here, the veteran forward. Sells some candy around McGovern. Swoops it wide here, and D'Ambrosio goes inside 50. It's dropped down there. Again by McDonald, it's Connor. And now it's going to be a free kick going Hawthorn's way. So that could prove costly. There's some remonstration going on there, and trying to argue the point down there is Brody Huff, but it will go the way of Connor McDonald. Didn't quite see it alive as it happened. Was it a throw he was pinged for?
I think holding the ball.
Holding the ball was, yeah.
Sort of half went to defend or fend off, but it was a good tackle. Pinned the left arm and the right arm dropped the ball.
Connor McDonald, last time these sides met, had 2 goals and 21 disposals. He lines up his set shot here, and like most of his teammates, it's left wanting. Right across the face. 2-7-19 Hawthorn. West Coast 1-1-7. 25 gone to the opening quarter. Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
Kicked 1-3 last week. Connor McDonald not faring much better today with 0-2 on the board so far. Direct kick up the middle for the Eagles. Marked by Huff, who Gets it out wide to Baker, and now they can move it with some speed and some intensity and some precision as Owie strides through the 50, kicks an absolute copter to the square. Dragging it down was Williams. He spins and snaps a goal. And again, the Eagles go the length of the field in a flash. And Jack Williams, having kicked 3 last week, gets his first for this evening. Narrows the gap to 6 points. 2-1-13 West Coast. Hawthorn 2-7-19. So for all their dominance in play, the Hawks haven't put it on the board. We are 25 minutes through the opening term on ABC Sport. Your experts are Nathan Burke and Kez Peterson.
Well, it was great ball movement, wasn't it, through the middle of the ground, Berkey, off the back of...
Just quickly, Kaz, sorry, the MCG, if you've joined us from there, we have some technical issues happening there. So the network is with us here at Docklands. It's Hawthorn and West Coast. The Hawks are 2-7-19, West Coast 2-1-13. That goal a short time ago through Jack Williams. This was late in time on here in the opening term. You're with Brett Sprigg, Joel Peterson, Karen Peterson and Nathan Burke, as well as Alexia Pesce on the boundary. So if you're listening, just joining us from the MCG, we'll take you back to the MCG as soon as we fix those issues. A restart here off the back of that Williams goal. Flynn in the contest with Meek. Huswaite competes with Harley Reid. And Harley Reid's out after it now. Sockers to the outer side. Liam Baker gathers eventually. Dispossessed and now lays the tackle on D'Ambrosio into the back for a free kick.
Hawthorn need to do something about defending these kick-ins. The last 2 from West Coast have gone from one end to the other, resulted in a goal and a behind. Should have really been 2 goals.
And over the space of 10 minutes, they got back-to-back goals, the Eagles, in the ball game, having not seen a lot of it up front in the early going. Kick up toward half forward. Moore takes it. He's brought to ground. Eagles will send it back the other way. Weddle's been good in the early stages. Couldn't mark that time. Picked up by Scrimshaw. Whips the kick across the centre square into dangerous territory. Williams there for West Coast. Newcomb just barreled Hunt off it. And now it's picked up. Ginnivan across to Chol. Not 15. 49 out. Left foot kick to the pocket. More risers can't mark. McDonald lays the tackle for Hawthorn. And now Hardwick does the same. They lock it inside the forward 50. Ginnivan lowered the head. Not paid the free kick. Umpire says mine. 30 out from the Hawthorn goal. They lead 2-7 to 2-1. 27 and a half gone.
Now the MCG, meanwhile, a goal for Will White. So Carlton leads Geelong by 27 points there. 11-7 plays 7-4. We'll keep you across the score and get you back there for full commentary when we can resume. Flynn competes with Meek, and now it's almost a free kick there paid for West Coast. Wasn't high, says the umpire, as we head down this side to Alexia Pesce.
He's just come off and he's pointing to his quad, his left quad. It looks like he's in a bit of pain, so the Eagles will hate for him to be hindered through the rest of the match.
He's kicked the goal in this first term so far. Jack Ginnivan alongside Jack Gunston as well. 2-7, the story of the quarter so far for the Hawks. They could have put this game to bed just about as we approach quarter time. Again, they pile in from all angles and will ball it up again.
Waterman, one of the goal kickers for West Coast, along with Williams. The exercise bike at the moment. It's Jake Waterman trying to keep that quad moving. Keeping it moving in play was Baker to Dewar, up and down the mine shaft. It lands in the lap of D'Ambrosio, who tracked it in flight and pulled it in 48 metres from home. And Massimo D'Ambrosio will have a shot after the bell of quarter time to try and give Hawthorn a 2-kick lead. Part of the All-Australian squad, of course, last year. Hasn't quite hit those lofty heights again so far this season. Campaign is only young. 2-7 for the Hawks so far in this quarter. After the first siren, can D'Ambrosio straighten them up from long distance? Lets it go on the left boot. It won't have the carry, and they let it through for a behind in the end. So big pack flew on the behind line. They all clean missed it, so it does sneak through for a minor score. 2-8-20 the Hawks. West Coast 2-1-13 in that first term. The Hawks kicked the first 2 before the Eagles kicked the next 2. As said, it was Waterman and Williams with goals for the Eagles, and for Hawthorn, Gunston and Ginnivan.
This is across ABC Radio, ABC Sport Digital and the ABC Listen app. Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
The footy might stop with the final siren, but with ABC AFL, the conversation keeps rolling. Get ABC AFL Daily Podcast with Premiership coach Paul Roos alongside Corbin Middlemass, Ben Cameron and Poppy Penny.
From walking on thin ice
Price to dancing on the mountaintop.
It's your daily footy conversation. Find it on the ABC Listen app. This is the 2025 AFL Premiership season on ABC Sport.
And now away to Meek. Meek, a little one off to Morrison. Kicks inside the 50. It's a neat delivery. Gunston sprawls forth and marks. 45 from home, 10 in from the boundary. 13 goals in his 4 games so far this season. The 3-time leading goal kicker, the sharpshooter. Jack Gunston is money with the set shot. And the Hawks are on the board in a major sense. Warple to Amon, kick from halfway, looking for Gunston inside forward 50, controls it, protects the drop, gives it to Ginnivan, and Ginnivan's back on the goal scoring list. Jack wastes no time making his return to the big stage.
Goal rebound through Sicily, kick will have a cook here, Duggan chops it off, comes through for the Eagles, goes deep to full forward, Waterman obliges. And controls the overhead mark in the left forward pocket. Jake Waterman, 4 goals against Essendon last week. He opens up with a snap and curls it around. And West Coast do have their first goal.
Gets it out wide to Baker, and now they can move it with some speed and some intensity and some precision as Owie strides through the 50, kicks an absolute copter to the square. Dragging it down was Williams. He spins and snaps a goal. And again, the Eagles go the length of the field in a flash.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the AFL.
On your radio.
ABC Sport Digital.
And on the ABC Listen app.
Highlights of the opening half hour here at Docklands, where Hawthorn is in control, albeit in wayward fashion. 2-8-20 for the West Coast Eagles, 2-1-13. You're with Brett Sprigg alongside Joel Peterson, Nathan Burke and Karen Peterson, Alexia Pesce on the boundary. More from them very shortly. Meanwhile, at the MCG, where I'm reliably informed we are back up and running with our ABC commentary team there, and Carlton leads Geelong late in that third term, 12-8-80 to 8-4-52. Earlier at Carrara, Gold Coast beat Sydney by 38 points thanks to a run of 12 straight at one stage. Ben King kicked 5 goals as well. But as to the final game of round 7 here at Docklands, your experts here are Nathan Burke and Karen Peterson.
Well, Berkey, far from a pretty game. You called it pretty early and we were hoping that it might have changed, but I think you put the moz on the game. It's been fairly scrappy and certainly highlighted by Hawthorn's inaccuracy. They really could have probably put the game to bed by now. They've had 11 scoring shots, including one that went out of bounds on the full for a return of 2 goals and 8 points, going at 14% in terms of efficiency inside forward 50. There's nothing wrong with the method. There's nothing wrong with their entries inside forward 50. They're just having issues putting it through the big sticks, which is probably arguably the most important part of the game. So if they can tidy that area of the game up, it'll go to bed pretty quickly. At the moment, they're +4 inside forward 50s. We made a lot of the clearance numbers and Hawthorn's dominance across the start of the season. They're only +5 in the clearances thus far. West Coast have actually done a pretty good job getting their hands on the ball around the middle of the ground. They're just, the Hawthorn pressure's forcing some turnovers, and West Coast aren't able to generate any of their inside 50s or any of their scoring ability through that method. Where their scoring ability or capability is coming from their kick-ins. Once Hawthorn misses, their kick-ins are going route one football up the middle of the ground, and they're finding some scoring opportunities on the back of that. But all in all, a pretty average start to the game.
Yeah, well called, Kez. West Coast early days, they were a little bit risk averse. A lot of their kicks were, I don't want to take a risk, I'll just kick it long down the line. Hawthorn won every single one of those and actually boomed it back inside forward 50 and got on the scoreboard really early. The last third of that quarter, they started to take a few risks. They ran in numbers and shared with the handball, and they actually handballed the ball from one end of the ground to the other. And I think it was Ryan in the end who just missed a snapshot, would have been an amazing goal. The next goal was using the corridor, running past for the handball, looking ahead, players taking off down the ground. And that was an exciting piece of play, which ended in a goal. So, to me, West Coast Eagles, forget about potential turnovers and what might happen on the scoreboard. If you run and gun and take this game on, who knows? You might be thereabouts at the end, and anything can happen in the last quarter. So I hope that Minnie McGualter and the West Coast coaches saw that difference and saw that difference in attitude, in play, in what West Coast did in the last 10 minutes, because if they go back into their shell, be risk averse and just kick the ball down the line, Hawthorn are too good. Meek's just far too strong. Weddle's intercepting the footy. Battles had 9 possessions. they won't score that way.
Lex, you mentioned Jack Ginnivan had some troubles in that first term. He's still on the bench to start this second quarter.
So, Jake Waterman.
Jake Waterman, did you say?
Yes, Jake Waterman.
So I think Jack Ginnivan.
No, Jake Waterman. He's back out there now. He did stay on the bike a little longer while the rest of the team went out to the middle, but he seems to be okay, so he'll play through.
I had my head lost in that MCG technical drama. Here we are. He's on the bench, Jack Ginnivan, but he's not. No issues there for him. Kick the goal in that first term. In the second term we go. No further questions. 7 points is Hawthorn's lead, and they win the first clearance of the second term. Warple run down there, though. It came. Tackle from Graham. Footy jars loose. Meek fires the hand pass away here to Newcomb. Traps it at half forward. Delivers inside 50. A little too wide, and the Garvin out to meet the football. And now Harley Reid just thumps it back from whence it came. But there's no direction on the kick. Chopped off by Barris. And now they go again here through Amon inside forward 50. And it's marked down there by Mab Chol. 45 out. One angle better than 45 degrees.
That was Harley Reid's first kick of the game. He had one handball in that first quarter, and it looked like his first kick as well, just a bit rushed and booted the ball. Now he's having a crack at his forward for not coming forward and creating an option. Probably better to choose a better option next time.
Maybe Chol of 3 goals against the Cats on Easter Monday. Kick goals in every game bar 1 this year. Over steady here, Hawthorn, and a more accurate first half, and he obliges straight over the goal umpire's hat from 50 out. Hawthorn do kick the first of this second quarter. They're 3-8-26, West Coast to 2-1-13. We've played a total of 90 seconds in this second quarter, Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
It was a nice contest too, Chol. He just went bodied up on Oscar Allen, who I'm not quite sure why they're playing him in the D50. I understand the matchup, and they may not have another matchup for Chol, but I don't understand that. He's just gone to work on him, put the body in, and taken a relatively easy chest mark, 45 metres from goal. And he's gone back and kicked truly, so hopefully that's a bit of a steadier for Hawthorn. We talked about their yips in the first quarter, but again, there's nothing wrong with their method. It was that intercept mark across the half-back line, changing the shape, go a different angle, spit the ball wide and find a relatively uncontested mark in Chol.
Carlton captain Kes Peterson alongside Nathan Burke, your experts on ABC Sport. Back in the middle, Meek slaps it down looking for Newcomb, who had a handful of clearances in that opening frame. Meek then drags Brady Hutt to ground and wins a free kick for the Hawks. The big fella wins the holding the ball. Immediately gives it off to McKenzie for Hawthorn. Kicks inside forward 50. Chol and Allen there again. Cruising through was Marek. Oh, he handballed it straight to Jack Gunston. Gunston puts it in reverse, gives it to Connor McDonald. He tumbles it goalward. Allen sprawls forward, can't mark. Moore takes it to Chol, who slips clear on the goal line and rolls one through. 2 in a minute for Mabior. The first, a pure set shot strike, and the second was nothing but evasiveness. Hawthorn out to a 19-point lead, a new game high. 4-8-32 to West Coast 2-1-13. 3 minutes played, second quarter.
Well, that's 6-1 centre bounce clearances at the moment in favour of the Hawks, so the Eagles are getting absolutely thumped out of there. I think the rule of the week, Kez, I always love to spot what it is. If you've got one arm free in a tackle, even though you have no prior opportunity, the umpires are saying now with that one arm, and even though you're getting spun around like something that spins a lot, can't think.
A top?
Top. You've got to get rid of the football. So 2 really ridiculous decisions based on how the game's been umpired so far this year.
Hawthorn got up to 19 points. And
that should have been holding the ball.
Wrapped up is Harley Reid by John Newcomb.
At least they got a secondary bounce here, Eagles. See if they can keep it in.
There it goes. Who can work it forward of halfway? Hewitt gets boots a ball. Impey tracks it towards half back there for Hawthorn. Cripps hunts the footy, wrapped up down there by Morrison. And again, the umpire will board up. By the way, at the MCG, it's 3-quarter time. Carlton leads Geelong by 28 points now at the final change. Hawthorn leads by 19 points here at Docklands. Early stages, second term. Morrison. It's a high kick, that left boot down towards the wing. But a free kick space wanted here for a hold. And it will be going the way of West Coast and their co-captain, Liam Duggan.
He's had it more times than anyone else on the ground now, coming up for disposal number 11. Boy from Bacchus Marsh rolls around and McDonald letting go on the mark, so he takes a bounce, enters the 50 with a deep kick. Waterman! Ginivan. He crashes the pack and the umpire's paid a free kick.
I think Ryan went up first and didn't actually get the ball, so they've said, you've pushed him in the back, and then Waterman came over the top.
He cleared the space beautifully, and if there's not a place in the game for that, then, gee, that's disappointing. So it comes back the other way, and Battle will exit the 50 for the Hawks.
Wobbly ball to the outer side, missed the pack. Merrick is there. There's going to be a free kick for a block, and it will go the way of Tom Cole, West Coast Premiership defender. He's among their inclusions this week. Merrick goes down the line, leading up and marking Archer Reid. He does mark 45 out directly in front.
Yeah, nice kick to leading forward. That umpire has absolutely no sense of occasion. That was a great mark.
It's name and shame. It's Nick Jankowskis.
You did
umpire
that.
number one.
You did that, Spriggy,
yeah, that's
not
all
me.
All me.
That was all you, but yeah, sport, because that was a terrific mark. And yeah, look, yes, it was probably there, but I'd let that one go.
Archer Reid played against his brother Zach last week. That clash against the Bombers. He's yet to play in a win. They have to start the fight back here, West Coast. Connects from 50. No angle to speak of, but he's offline to the left-hand side. The Eagles are 2-2-14. They trail Hawthorn 4-8-32. 6 go on second term. Sunday footy on ABC Sport. Their experts Nathan Burke and Karen Peterson.
Good lead there by Reid. He needs to make Barras accountable and Battle accountable. The best way to do it is to good, hard, strong lead straight at the ball.
Played his junior footy in Eagles colours, did Archer Reid. Inverloch Kongwak. And in South Gippsland. Produced some great players that part of the world. Sicily off half-back, long kick up the line. Gunston and McGovern's an entertaining duel. Two very crafty operators with lots of experience at a high level. McGovern thumps it across the boundary. It'll be tossed back in. Just inside the attacking half for Hawthorn. They've got the only 2 goals of the term so far. 2-8 they had at quarter time. The Eagles have just added the 1 behind. 18 points the margin, 6.5 gone. Second term. Meek again, who's running riot in the middle of the ground. This time the handball went missing. Amon tried to track it down. It's built to Graham for the Eagles. Wobbly kick up toward half forward. He's collected beautifully by Battle. Handball out to D'Ambrosio. Little pirouette before he got the kick away. And he got it neatly away to Moore, who marks in front of Baker. Sends it on to Amon. The Hawks have really got something going here.
He stops 55 from goal. Assesses the options. Closer to home. Hardwick drops back. And takes a simple chest mark in the end. 25 out, 45-degree angle.
Great foot skills there by the Hawks. 3 kicks in a row, all off one step. They just turned, faced the game, saw what was ahead of them, and hit their teammate on the chest. And this last kick had Hardwick.
Opens up the angle. Hardwick does go the set shot, snap, and this is a far better showing from the Hawks sharpshooters in this second term, because they do have 3 straight goals. There's Hardwick's first of the afternoon. And their lead now out to 24 points on the Eagles. So it's Hawthorn 5-8-38. West Coast at 2-2-14. 8 minutes played, second quarter. Sunday footy across ABC Sport. Your experts, Karen Peterson and Nathan Burke.
Yeah, Burke, and it's because of those foot skills. They're getting their running game going. That was it was Amon who found space, but he had Ambrosio running past him. He probably could have picked out 2 or 3 teammates that were just running harder than their opponents were to make space for their teammate, and it was because of the elite foot skills. It looked clean, but it really goes down to the hard gut running to make their way to the space. And it was a terrific kick. I think it was Hardwick in the end who had that last kick. He put it to the space of to Hardwick. It was Amon who kicked it to him into the space. Great kick.
Back in the middle, the bounce favours Meek. Ripping it away was Ward. Handball off to Ginnivan. Stroll through 50. Goal at his mercy, and he left it a long way wide. He was wide right there, Jack Ginnivan. Never really balanced up. Minor score. Margin is 25 points for Hawthorn. 8.5 gone second term. Joel Peterson, Brett Sprigg, Kes Peterson, Nathan Burke and Alexia Pesce with you at the footy.
Merrick's kick is a dicey one, picked off by Ward. He closes to 45 and makes them pay. Indeed he does. Things going from bad to worse for McQualter's men. Picked off from the kick out, and Warple with a 6-pointer. They're out by 31 points, the Hawks, 6-9-45. The Eagles are 2-2-14. 9.5 played second term. Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
I don't mind the kick in. It was a low, hard one straight up the middle. It was just Warple read it extremely well, got the fist in for the spoil, and then kicked a great goal from 45. But if West Coast are going to win this game, they're going to have to take a few risks. That one didn't come off. The other two that came flying down the middle that they scored from did come off. So I hope they don't go into their shell. They need to do something there. They centre bounces though. That's 7-1 in favour of the Hawks.
4 goals in a row for Hawthorn now. So it's fast becoming a problem. Can they get another one here? They can. This time it's Hustwaite who stands up in the tackle. Handball forward, cut off by the opposite 44 and Hutchinson. Sends it back the other way, straight to Battle. Drop the mark, butt it up. And then just waltzes around at half-back for a little while. Kicks an absolute sack across the defensive 50. Cut off by Davis. His handball, not much good to Owies, who dropped it, then got tackled, caught. And a ball up right on the edge of the 50 for the Eagles. They've only added the minor score in this term. Hawthorn have kicked 4 goals, 1 to open up a 31-point lead. 2 rucks lope across. Flynn reached across Meek this time. Graham, handball to Davis, loops it over the top for Hutchinson, running in on goal. He tries to steady up and just misses to the left-hand side. 2 behind so far this quarter for the Eagles. They narrow the gap to 5 straight kicks through 10 minutes.
Now the MCG, Carlton by 22. Early stages, final term there. Full call available, God willing. The ABC listen up. Hawthorn go beyond defensive 50. Meek standing strong in the contest with Flynn. Didn't get near it though in the end. Both rucks missed it. He's come away here towards Baker. Fires the hand pass back here to Hoff, and now Marrick all the way back here to Jimby. Marrick from the wing on the 45. He does find Brady Hoff once more.
Hoff's had a lot of the football. He had 10 in that first quarter, up to 12 now.
All the way back to Ruben Jimby, the Dunsborough lad. His 47th game, and this sort of contextualises how bad they've been. 6 wins and 40 losses for Jimby. Little 1-2 there with Marrick. And now he chooses the city side wing here at Docklands. Overcooks the kick here. It's picked. That's what they cut out for Baker. Hand passes back to the man standing still there. Always goes inside 50, and now it's run out of bounds down there by Josh Battle. So Battle running out of room. Stoppage inside 50 here for West Coast at the Coventry end of this stadium. Hawthorn by 30 points at 6-9 plays 2-3. 12 gone second term. Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
This time Williams in ruck against Meek. Found his way in front spot. Hutchinson puts his head over it. Ball spills loose. Newcomb. Hewitt's there with him. Still a big pack around the footy. 45 out from the Eagles. Goal ball up. Reid opposed to Battle in the goal square. That's Archer Reid for West Coast. About a kick away from this contest. He's tried to get it there quickly. It ricocheted back to Barris, who whacks it the other way for Hawthorn. Up toward Gunston in the pack. Can't take the mark. Spills to Flynn. Gave it off to Allen. Caught in the tackle. Got rid of it. McGovern's caught as well. He couldn't get rid of it. Umpire gives the reprieve, much to the chagrin of the Hawthorn fans who wanted ball, and we'll have a ball up right on the city wing. Hawks by 30, 12.5 gone second quarter.
Up it goes. Meek wins it down, bustling through Mackenzie, dispossessed there in the West Coast double team, and now trying to get it away again. Flynn shows good composure there, the big man, through the traffic. Shares it now with Hewitt, going inside 50. Waterman dives to take it just before it gets there. So a very fancy-looking slips catch there for Waterman going to his left. There's going to be a blood rule here.
Jack Gunston
coming from the field at the other end of the ground, but Jake Waterman is 55 from goal. As a formality, ball goes back to the umpire. We'll have this slight delay.
Is he within his rights here, Jake Waterman?
Yeah, have a crack. Must be windy at that end because the Hawks missed all their goals. So. Yeah, man on the mark, 51.5 metres out. He's got to kick the ball maybe 55, 56. I think he can do that.
Certainly within his range, Jake Waterman.
Although those shorts, great if it's not windy, he'd blow away.
Trots in, connects from 55. Distance not the issue. It's all the way there for a goal. A despairing leap on the goal line there from his former teammate Barris, but it just carries the line. A second goal for Jake Waterman. And West Coast close the gap ever so slightly. 24 points is the Hawthorn lead here. The Hawks are 6-9-45. The West Coast Eagles 3-3-21. We're midway through this second quarter. Sunday footy on ABC Sport. Your experts, Carlton captain Karen Peterson and St Kilda legend Nathan Burke.
Yeah, great finish. He knew from the get-go, as soon as he took that mark, that he was going to line up and have a goal, have a shot at goal rather. So knows his distance, and his teammates were certainly telling him as well. I think what West Coast would be, well, I don't have the stats in front of me. We might have to find them half-time, Berkey, but the scores from stoppages and West Coast aren't dominating the stoppage by any stretch, but they are causing repeat stoppages. So if they can't win them, cause a repeat and see if they can get on the end of one, and they did on that occasion.
Eagles are actually outpacing Hawthorn in that stat so far. They've kicked 1-1 from stoppages. Hawthorn 3 behinds. Hawks 6 goals coming from general play so far. They get the centre clearance here. Ambrosio on the broadcast side wing. High kick inside, forward 50, and Allen, that's an imperious mark in defence. Rising and reaching to pull it in. Over a pack of 4, 40 metres out from his defensive goal. Deployed down back today, the Eagles co-captain. Kicks up the line toward Waterman. Cripps got rid of Cecily in the wrestle, kept in intelligently by Dewar, bounces off the boot of D'Ambrosio and then spills across the line where it'll be thrown in. Right underneath us in the ABC Sport commentary box, 16 gone second term. It's a 24-point lead to the Hawks. They led by 7 at quarter time.
Meanwhile, at the MCG, Carlton by just 16, and that's only in the first 8 minutes of that final term there. Back in it comes here at Docklands. Huswaite gets through the ball despite the tackle. His kick goes up in the air and Baker slides in to intercept there for West Coast. Carlton from here, Berkey, yes or no?
No.
Okay. Well, it comes to Tyrell Dewar for West Coast. Slews off the instep here. It's arrived to Sicily off the half-back line, and now Amon on to McKenzie. Little chain of hand pass picked off by Baker. West Coast go back inside forward 50. Cripps gets back, and despite the late pressure, tumbles to ground, ball and all. And he may fancy himself here from deep in the right forward pocket, 40 out.
There's that pressure, Berkey, that you're asking for with the Eagles coming forward. Hawthorn trying to chain handballs moving forward, and the pressure coming in the opposite direction from the Eagles forced that turnover. And a really nice kick to advantage. Great mark by Cripps in the pocket.
Speaking of pressure, goal to Bailey Smith. It's now 10 points at the MCG. Here's Jamie Cripps. Can he keep West Coast alive here at Docklands? Starts it right. It's coming back, but not quite enough. So the Eagles are 3-4-22. They trail Hawthorn 6-9-45. 17 gone second term. Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
Good little period here for the Eagles, keeping the ball in their half of the ground. Sorry, and they need to just capitalise a little bit. These behinds are really killing them.
Carl Amon exits the defensive 50. Cho! Gets an almighty rise on Oscar Allen and drags in the mark at half back. He's in a mood today, is Marbior. Kicks down the line, looking for Hardwick. Marek makes the space. Hardwick's there. He's walked across the boundary line. It'll be thrown back into play. Let's head downstairs and check in boundary side with Lex.
Dylan Moore's just come off. He was hobbling and then grabbed his right foot, so I'll keep an eye on it.
That's Dylan Moores. Write that down so I don't stuff it up for the next time.
For in an election campaign, the first problem you made was you admitted you made a mistake.
That's true. 23 points.
You should have said I never fell off the stage.
Hawthorn lead. Down it comes. McKenzie out after it toward the boundary line, and we'll throw it back in again.
Again, we're just seeing repeat stoppages here from West Coast. This is good. It's a good patch for them. Just stopping any opportunity for Hawthorn to just dominate the clearance and get their running game up and going.
Ball toss back in. Dockside wing. Meek down here. It was neat for Newcomb. It's past a couple of tacklers. Works the hand pass forward. Back here again to Amon. Kicks cross field and trotting back Watson. Judges it well through the air. And he marks 40 out. An angle slightly better than 45 degrees.
Great work by Meek and Newcomb down here on the stoppage in front of us. They knew exactly where the ball was going. Lloyd Meek just dropped it straight onto his left hip. Newcomb come flying through, most importantly into the middle of the ground, which just opened up the whole forward line.
Nick Watson, 2 goals, 2 against the Cats last week. Kicks all of his distance here from 45. It looks pretty good. And the Hawks, as we approach time on here in this second quarter, extend their lead back out to 29 points. They're 7-9-51. The Eagles are 3-4-22. 19 and a half played, second term as we approach half time. This is Sunday footy on ABC Sport. Your experts, Kieran Peterson and Nathan Burke.
Well, based on what we saw in the first quarter, I didn't expect Nick Watson to have the leg on that, and his kicking style certainly suggested otherwise. He put everything he had into that, but it was a great finish. But to your point, Berkey, the Meek Newcomb combination in the stoppage that was on this broadcast wing here, Newcomb was just able to dart and weave around probably 3 or 4 fairly stationary defenders from West Coast, and then find his way to the middle of the ground where Watson was able to lead to the opposite pocket. It's great shape around the contest and great ball movement.
Highest rated player on the ground at the moment is Lloyd Meek. He has been everywhere. Newcomb gets the clearance here, gave it to his teammate in Hustwaite, who kicked to half forward, Connor McDonald. Handball back to a stationary Amon, who backpedals, tried to sell the candy, then kicked straight into Baker, ricocheted away straight into the back of Jaden Hunt. Harry Morrison dived on top of Baker. Now the Eagles chain it off half back. Hutchinson to Cripps. Baker had a fumble. Handball to Ryan. Weaves around Warple, then gave it up by hand. Morrison for Hawthorn, takes it away, kicks to left half forward. Ginnivan's 2 kicks from home, gets a lead from Watson, wants to go deeper than that. Hardwick will be the target, can't mark, goes to ground. McGovern's there, he puts his head over it, tackled, won't come out. Umpire says mine. Left forward pocket, Hawks into attack, 35 out from their goal, up by 29.
Stoppage inside 50 here for Hawthorn. Meek down here. Underarm's kick was smothered. Ricochets back for Baker, and now Hunt can clear the area for West Coast. Out of the contest there. Barris is there with Archer Reid, as Barris does follow up now on the logo. Ball jars free, towed forward by Harley Reid, and now also getting there is Impey for Hawthorn, off to Amon, and now Barris finds a loose man there in Hustwaite. Sweeping hands, picked off there by Owies. He closes 55 out, needs options inside 50, won't find one. Ryan was too late getting back there. It was tough work for him, and it's marked there instead by Jack Scrimshaw in the left back pocket. Hawthorn by 29 points, 7-9 plays 3-4, 22 gone second term.
Not having an easy go of it today, Matt Owies. Scrimshaw off half back to Weddle, who gets those legs pumping. Handball to Warple, handball to Morrison, now out toward the boundary line for Impey. Almost had it knocked out of his hands by Jaden Hunt. Then he got upended as he kicked, high inside forward 50, and Jinby, he rips it down. In defence for the Eagles. Dangerous kick across the face of goal, and it bounced and rolled and tumbled away from Tyrell Dewar, who couldn't keep it in. And we'll have a ball in. Hawks into attack, right forward pocket. 22 minutes played in this second term on ABC Sport. It's Hawthorn 51 leading West Coast 22.
Around the grounds, MCG. Goal to Harry Mackay makes it now 17 points, Carlton's lead, midway through that final term. Back in it comes here. Ward, tackle, dispossessed. Can the Hawks lock it in? They do. A ball up, 40 out from their attacking goal. 29 points is their lead. It goes. Meek, almost uncontested in the ruck. Jewe's hand pass over his shoulder. Gets the tackle on the bigger body there, and Flynn. And again, we'll ball it up. Let's see if they can move the football this time. Meek, down there comes, the kick was smothered. Ricochets across half forward, by the West Coast defence. Jinby got it from Jaden Hunt. Scrambling upfield here. Jinby loses the football though on the follow-up. Morrison for Hawthorn. His kick, hand pass to another white half, and now it comes back to Sicily. Hawthorn will start again from just forward of half back. Angled kick from D'Ambrosio finds its target there. Meek just forward of halfway.
It's all madness, no method from the Eagles coming out. Meek's taken the mark. 75 from home. Drops it to the right boot, kicks it an absolute mile in the air. Catch that. Hardwick tries to, so does Newcomb. Cole read it off their hands nicely. Dewar, kick away under duress, spirals it into the centre of the ground. It'll sit for Impey, offloads to Sicily. 7-metre kick to Warple. Handball back to Meek. This one a little bit more effective from the big man. Floats over the head of McDonald, who immediately gave the lightning handball to Hardwick. On to Ginnivan, around to Morrison. He hooks it home. And that Hawks pressure told in the end. There was no escaping it for West Coast. And Harry Morrison gets his first of the afternoon. 8-9-57 Hawthorn. West Coast 3-4-22. It's a game high 35-point Hawthorn lead. 24 gone second term. ABC Sport, your experts. And Nathan Burke and Kes Peterson.
resembled something that looked like, that last 2.5 minutes resembled something that looked like the under-12s training at St. Teresa's at Bendigo, and I mean that respectfully to the St. Teresa Sharks at the under-12s, but every second handball in that chain of passage landed on the ground. It got picked up. I don't know what Sicily's kick was. It was a little 9-iron chip wedge, whatever you want to call it, out of the bunker. That was an awful passage of play that landed in somehow in a goal for Hawthorn, but if you're trying to sell the game of AFL, you wouldn't be showing that passage of play.
Restart back in the middle. Have a run by Harley Reid, missed it completely. Warple goes the fend there on Hutchinson. They go inside 50 through McDonald, and now Gunston leads up and marks. That was just far too easy. That took about 6 seconds, if that, from the centre bounce, that clearance, and Gunston is 30 out directly in front.
Yeah, so there's numbers which are 10-2, and then there's how. That one was just streaming straight out of the middle, straight down the centre corridor. Dunstan leads up, number 19. It was like Platten to Dunstall all over again.
Gunston lines up for his second and makes no mistake here. That was a training drill for Hawthorn. And they're out now by 41 points as we approach half-time here at Docklands. 9-9-63, the West Coast to a 3-4-22. 26 go on second term Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
Well, during the 80s and 90s, the Hawks were renowned for getting the ball out of the centre square, straight down the middle. Johnny Platten would come streaming out of the middle. Number 19 would lead straight ahead, chest mark, goal. And they just do it over and over again. And that's what the modern-day Hawks have revised with another number 19 coming out of the goal square, chest mark, goal.
Was there a cool name then, though? It wasn't Hock Bowl then, though, but Hock Ball back in the 80s and 90s, was it?
Is that a cool name now?
No, it's not, I guess.
No, they were just very, very good footballers back in the day.
The previous passage was the under-12s. That was like when the under-18s show up to training, and it's with the big kids against the little kids type stuff. Bounce goes awry in the middle, so Paul Rivashini will have another crack. Toss this one aloft. Flynn and Meek. 10-2, those centre clearance numbers. This one, Hutchinson will take it away for the Eagles, make it a third for the game. High kick inside the forward 50. Waterman couldn't take the mark. Battle takes it. He's immediately grabbed by Williams. And we'll have a ball up inside forward 50 for the Eagles. They kicked the one goal in this term. Hawthorn have banged on 7. 7 goals won for the Hawks to open up their big break. Morrison at the back of the stoppage, throws his boot up it, goes straight up and down, carried 2 metres laterally and 20 in the air. Weddle's on the behind line, it gets whacked his way. He spikes it outside the defensive 50, straight to the opposite 23, and Marek will send it back in for West Coast.
24 disposals in his last 5 games, Ryan Marek. This is a short kick wide to find McGovern, the 5-time All-Australian. Spears it inside 50. Only finds Sicily, who spills the mark. Owens comes in and provides some pressure. Shares it with Cripps up against the very line. He keeps it alive here somehow. Cripps tunnels away here. Sicily again gathers. McKenzie goes to ground. Picked off here by Dewar. Umpires with a whistle there. It will go Hawthorn's way.
He's having a bad trot, old James Sicily. That should have been an easy intercept mark. He got himself in the right position and just spilled an easy one, and he sort of walking away with the head held, down, drooping down, and the hands on the hips.
Cam McKenzie sends his free kick beyond defensive 50. Hawthorn leads by 41 points here at Docklands. Dewar ends up with it here for West Coast. Goes down the line. And it's marked by Elijah Hewitt. It's been a good recent form. 22 disposals and 2 goals won against the Bombers last week on Good Friday. High inside forward 50. Ryan wants the leap. Doesn't quite get up there. Numbers in defence there, Hawthorn. Socket full by Woodman, the bots of Sicily, I think it was, who copped the contact there. Ryan piles in as well. Umpire says there's a free kick going West Coast way.
When you're in a bad trot,
let's see that again.
Find your way to kick off the ground out of the pack to Sicily in that sweeper position and hit him straight in the face, and then he dived on the ball, but also collected Ryan's legs and gave away a free kick. So get hit in the face and give away a free kick 15 metres out dead in front.
Despite all of that, Hawthorn seemingly in control as we approach half-time. But this is an opportunity for Liam Ryan. 20 out, slight angle, comes in, has a goal. First goal today for Liam Ryan. And the margin is still now, 35 points in Hawthorn's favour. So it's West Coast 4-4-28. The Hawks are 9-9-63. We've played almost half an hour in this second quarter. Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
Yeah, sometimes when it's not your day, it's certainly not your day, Berkey, and I got my head in my hands for him because there's nothing he could have done about getting a little toe poke from a contest, and it end up with ball in the face. Not much fun, and then to give away the free kick as well.
He could have almost given away 2 free kicks there. He copped Waterman high, and then he rolled into Liam Ryan's legs.
Yeah, he's not having a good day.
If he already had his head hung low, I think he certainly would have after that, James Sicily, but there's every chance to get swung forward in the second half and kick 7.
I kind of hope they do that for him, though, like just to get him out of the space, fill his boots a bit, go forward.
He's actually having a chat to the umpire as well as he stands his position at half back. Another clearance for the Eagles. This one less than convincing. It's straight up and down the mine shaft from half. Kick out wide toward the broadcast side. McKenzie flipped it up by hand to Warple. Put it over his head by hand. Hunt scurries after it for the Eagles. Connor McDonald's over the top of him. We'll have it tossed aloft between the AFL logo and the centre circle on this broadcast side. Hawks by 35. They get the clearance here. Warple. Kick up toward half forward. Marek takes it on the hop. McGovern comes steaming through. Lightning hand pass to Duggan. Flicked it past Flynn. McKenzie intercepts his hand pass. Off to Meek. Meek inside the 50. Watson had a good piece of it. And Allen draped across the shoulder to knock it away. And so it'll be another long-range effort from the Wizard.
The umpire that was standing on the wing decided to pay that free kick, whereas the one standing inside 50 where the ball landed said, nope, play on.
Think it was there, Berkey?
No, just should have marked it. Don't get a free kick for dropping the ball.
He's already kicked one from long range already this quarter, Nick Watson. This one from right at the top of the arc. He lets it go. It always looked right, and it stayed there. 36 points is the spread, 9-10 to 4-4. 31 points, or 31 minutes gone in this second term on ABC Sport.
Decent hoof, though, from Nick Watson. In the distance, just a little off target. They're going to be on defensive 50 here. The Eagles through Marek, and it's over for a throw-in at left half forward for Hawthorn. At the MCG, 12 points is the margin there. Carlton 13-10 plays Geelong 12-4. And that's with 4:57 of game time left there. So keep an eye on that. Before we call it otherwise, the ABC, listen up, just look for the ABC AFL button. Back in it comes here in the final game of round 7. Harley Reid, hand pass through traffic, comes wide again back from Davis, and now Hewitt spins to a tackle there of Ward. Ball comes loose. Ward will run down from behind. Great chase it was down there by Graham. And it will be a West Coast ball with the former Tiger. He wastes no time. Pressure does come late there from Dylan Moore on Brady Hoff. Footy somehow kept alive. Hoff's kick awkward there for Hunt. Gathers. Marek bursts by. Unmanned. And now goes inside 50. Up in front, Archer Reid. It's crumbed here by Ryan. Taps it toward the pocket. Gathered in the fence. It was put on by Josh Battle. He does win that battle. And now it's Josh Ward. Hand pass missed its mark. And Sicily tries to get involved, so we'll throw it back in again at right half forward for West Coast. Hawthorn leads 9-10-64 to 4-4-28. 32 and a half minutes now played here at Docklands in the second term.
Josh Battle's had it 15 times, the most of any Hawk. Ryan Marek's had it 18, the most for the blue and gold. Hunt from the stoppage, got it from Hewitt. Curls his kick inside the forward 50. Archer Reid was the target. There were 3 Hawks surrounding it. The ball bounces out of play. It'll be tossed back in. 40 out from the Eagles' goal.
Oh, the way Marek takes the game on. He runs hard. He runs in a straight line. Somebody in front of him, he's got the footy. He's creating an option. He's a player, a defender that you can really build around for the future.
George Hewitt's just kicked a goal at the MCG. 16-point lead or 18-point lead to Carlton in the closing stages over Geelong. Bounces around at the stoppage for the Hawks inside their D50. Meek gave it to Battle. Exiting kick straight to Flynn. Touched on the way through, so he needed to go immediately. Puts it inside the forward 50. Picked up by Graham. Off to Reid. Gives over the top to Hewitt. Another one to Owies. Outside of the boot for Matt Owies. Misses. Hasn't been his day either and should have done better from 20 metres out. 35 points is the Hawks' lead. We've played 34 minutes in this second term.
I'll have to have a look what the combined number of goals and behinds is at that end so far in the game. So Hawthorn kicked, 2 goals, 8 at that end, and now West Coast with
2 goals, 4.
2 goals, 4 thus far. They come beyond defensive 50 here, the Hawks. Ginby up in front with the spoil over for a throw-in. So Long second term, this one. By the way, Paul Curtis of North Melbourne offered 3 weeks for his tackle on Port Adelaide's Josh Sin out of yesterday's fiery clash in Adelaide. Give you the full MRO rundown at half-time, but that's the headline there. Paul Curtis, 3 weeks. There'll be scrutiny. Comes off the deck here. Amon. He's got away to McKenzie. He was taken high by Harley Reid. Free kick Hawthorn right on the half-time siren. So Hawthorn did push away in that second quarter, despite a couple of goals to West Coast. The home side leads in this game 9-10-64 for the Eagles, 4-5-29. That second term went 34 minutes and 33 seconds. The goal kickers so far for Hawthorn, 2 each for Gunston and Mab Chol, who kicked 2 in a hurry earlier in that term. Singles to Morrison, Warple, Hardwick, Ginnivan and Watson. And for the West Coast Eagles, a couple of goals for Jake Waterman and singles to Jack Williams and to Liam Ryan. Hawthorn by 35 points at the major break here at Docklands. Your experts on this occasion, Sunday Footy on ABC Sport, Karen Peterson and Nathan Burke.
Bit of a arm wrestle, that one. Both teams had periods of dominance. The difference was that Hawthorn were able to put through goals when they had those periods of dominance, whereas the Eagles were just not making the most of their opportunities. I admire the way that they tried to take the game on. They weren't just saying, hey, look, we're behind on the scoreboard, let's just tip the ball backwards and sideways and rack up possessions and just keep the ball out of the Hawks' hands and limit the damage. They kept trying to run, they kept trying to take the game on. It didn't always work, it didn't always look pretty, but you can see what they're trying to do. They're saying, hey, we want to be a fast team, we want to move the ball quickly, we've got some forwards that if we give them half a chance, they're probably going to be good enough to mark the footy. If we go slow, it's just going to play into the hands of Sicily and Battle and Barras down there. They're going to mark everything that we bomb in there. So let's get it in there as fast as we possibly can. It's risk and reward. At the moment, they're not getting the reward for their risk. If anything, Hawks are actually making the most of when they actually turn the ball over through the middle of the ground. For the Hawks, they're playing good football. Their clearance dominance out of the middle is really good. What they're doing is that they're finding small targets inside 50 quite well. Watson's taken a couple of marks. Hardwick took a mark and kicked a goal. Gunston came out and took one on the chest. But it's their ability to find the right target going inside 50, whether that be tall or small, I think is something that the Hawks do extremely well. And it's probably the reason why they're hard to stop, because they've got such a spread of goal kickers. They don't rely on a Waterman up the other end to do all the damage for them, Kes.
Yeah, well summarised, Berkey. Not a lot to add to that other than just to look forward to the second half. And I suppose in a way, you look at Hawthorn, you go, I think they're probably playing below their best, like probably well below their best. Some of their skill execution has been really good, and then on other occasions been really inconsistent. And we're seeing patches where the ball's spending a lot of time on the ground. We're not seeing that crisp movement of the ball with the run and carry like what we've probably become accustomed to seeing, particularly in that back end of last year, and then obviously the start of this season as well. So I think they'll be happy and satisfied with where they're sitting at the moment, particularly the response in front of goal for that second quarter. They're still sitting at 9 goals, 10, and there's been a couple of sprays that make that perhaps look a little bit better than what it actually is. But I think they'll go into halftime going, hey, we really need to get this going here, and we do that by running in numbers, particularly once we can transition the ball off our half-back line, using the numbers through the middle of the ground. I've talked a couple of times about shaping the contest, so using the fat side of the ground. If the contest is on one wing, being able to transition the ball to the other side and finding different avenues to goal. You mentioned Nick Watson. I think he's been really impressive the way that he's led up the ground, and he'd probably like to take marks probably closer to 35-40 out. At the moment he's taking them 45 to 50 out, with a bit of a mixed bag of return, but he's certainly finding the footy. And I think Gunston's probably playing, even though he's kicked a couple of goals, he's probably playing a little bit more of certainly not a shutdown or a lockdown role on McGovern, but he's playing a bit of a negating role on McGovern so that he can't come across and take those intercepting marks like what we all know him and his strength to be. For West Coast, you're absolutely spot on. It's just that risk-reward game for them. I don't think they'll be too concerned if Hawthorn get a bit of a run on. It's going to be how can they stem that. And I keep talking about repeat stoppage and those sort of things will be the things at the end of the game that Andrew McQualter and his coaching staff will go back and have a look at. How many times did we not allow Hawthorn to just break away from stoppage. Can we limit? And they certainly have. Joel read those numbers out halfway through the quarter of, what's their score from clearance? Are they actually really hurting us, or are they just maintaining possession and going from there? So a couple of things to work on. It's been far from a pretty game. Hasn't been highly entertaining. There's been passages of play where we see West Coast using the handball from the length of the ground, but I'd like to see more of that in the second half, and certainly for Hawthorn, their supporters to be sitting here saying, God, come on. I feel like we're almost there, and this game could really break open for us and we could run away with it really convincingly. But at the moment, I don't think either team are playing anywhere near the entertaining brand of football that they'd be wanting to.
You can look forward to the second half here, Kez, and look forward to a Carlton win at the MCG. 18 points, that final margin there, so 3 in a row for Michael Voss's Blues, and they do indeed beat Geelong 14-10-94 to 12-4-76.
And the fans of every other team, Spriggy, won't look forward to going to work tomorrow.
Oh, you know what? It's been a terrific weekend, Spriggy, and it's just been made better. So
I didn't realise Geelong were that bad.
I didn't realise we had so many sour football supporters in the box.
So winners earlier, Gold Coast over the Swans by 38 points and Carlton by 18 over Geelong. There is still one half of round 7 left on this Anzac Day weekend. Hawthorn leads West Coast by 35 points at the major break. There's been no sub action so far, so David Donald for Hawthorn and Noah Long for the West Coast Eagles. You can keep your texts coming, 0437 774 774, particularly as we do become the network game once things are wrapped up there at the MCG. The second half coming up here at Docklands right now. Time for ABC News.
ABC News with David Rowlands. The Prime Minister and Opposition Leader have both outlined their re-election pitches to the party faithful as the campaign enters its final week. Political reporter Stephanie Dalzell has more.
As Labor seeks to place healthcare at the centre of its re-election pitch, Anthony Albanese was at a rally in Sydney, unveiling a $200 million pitch to expand and rebrand a healthcare hotline, staffed by a nurse who can also refer patients to a GP telehealth appointment.
Life isn't 9 to 5, we all know that. With 1-800 Medicare, neither is healthcare.
Opposition leader Peter Dutton has fronted 2 rallies in Melbourne and Sydney, the latter in the Teal-held seat of Mackellar.
We are in the fight of our lives over the course of the next 6 days.
Both leaders are now preparing for the final debate of the campaign in Sydney tonight.
Meanwhile, Finance Minister Katie Gallagher says Labor will outline savings to pay for its election promises when its costings are released this week. The minister says most of the election spending was already accounted for in recent budget updates. However, while she is critical of the coalition's plan to cut public servant jobs, she says the public service could be more efficient.
There's a whole range of things in there. There's, reprioritising, saying, we don't need to do that anymore, but we want to invest in this. There's also looking at ways you drive efficiencies, particularly across the public service, where I think there is still room to find additional savings.
People have packed the lawns of Parliament House in Hobart to protest commercial salmon farming in Tasmania. Madeline Rohan was there.
The protest has been organised by the Bob Brown Foundation, with opponents to the multi-million-dollar industry saying the scale of salmon farming is polluting the state's pristine waterways. That's a view backed by Tasmanian Aboriginal man Thomas Riley.
It's not just what it does to the coastline, what it does to jobs. It's what it does to the fish itself.
Anti-salmon and independent candidate for the seat of Franklin in next weekend's election, Peter George, also addressed the crowd. He's trying to unseat Labor Minister Julie Collins. The electorate is home to large-scale salmon fish farming. The Albanese government recently introduced changes to environmental laws to shore up salmon farming in Macquarie Harbour on the west coast, home to the endangered Maugean skate.
In a statement, Salmon Tasmania Chief Luke Martin says the rally only demonstrates the Greens and the Bob Brown Foundation will say, spend and do anything they can to buy Peter George a seat in federal parliament. Canadian police say a number of people are being killed after a car was driven into a crowd in the city of Vancouver. They say multiple others were injured during an incident at a street festival on Saturday evening local time. Local media reports say it was a festival celebrating Filipino culture. Police say the driver is in custody at the moment. Visitors will be able to visit the tomb of Pope Francis today after he was buried in a private service in Rome. The Pope was laid to rest on Saturday in his favourite church, the Basilica of Santa Maria Maggiore. He's the first pontiff in more than 100 years to be buried outside of the Vatican. In the coming days, cardinals are expected to announce a date for the conclave to elect the next leader of the Catholic Church. Businesses in parts of Melbourne's CBD say that trade hasn't returned to normal since yesterday, when two competing protests on gender rights descended into chaos near Parliament. The clashes occurred as the counter-protests marched through the CBD, with several people brawling and police using pepper spray in an attempt to disperse the crowd. City Precinct Traders Association President Chloe Beavers says traders are feeling the impact of low foot traffic.
They've got their staff on, they're open for business, and it's very quiet. So the feedback is that yesterday was not the typical protests. It was on Saturday, while the usual protests are on Sundays.
A 59-year-old man has been charged with drug and money laundering offences in WA's Kimberley region. Police allegedly located more than 3 kilograms of cannabis and over $95,000 in cash during a search warrant at a residence in Broome on Thursday. Authorities say it will be alleged the cash is the proceeds from the accused man selling cannabis in the community. To sport, and the Gold Coast Suns have staged a 67-point turnaround to beat last year's grand finalists, Sydney, in round 7 of the AFL. The final scoreline was 17-15-117 to 12-7-79 in favour of the Suns. Gold Coast forward Ben King kicked 5 goals.
Get your footy fix on the ABC Listen app.
Can you believe it? A new game high.
Wherever you are and whatever you're doing.
He drives it home.
AFL and NRL.
Bing, bing, bing.
Live and ad-free on the ABC Listen app. This is the 2025 AFL Premiership season on ABC Sport.
Barris, and now they go again here through Amon inside forward 50, and it's marked down there by Mab Chol, 45 out. Another steady here, Hawthorn, and a more accurate first half, and he obliges straight over the goal umpire's hat from 50 out. Hawthorn do kick the first of this second quarter.
Allen sprawls forward, can't mark. Moore takes it to Chol, who slips clear on the goal line and rolls one through. 2 in a minute for Marbior. The first a pure set shot strike, and the second was nothing but evasiveness.
He stops 55 from goal, assesses the options, closer to home. Hardwick drops back and takes a simple chest mark in the end. Pins up the angle. Hardwick does go the set shot snap, and this is a far better showing from the Hawks sharpshooters in this second term. Merritt's kick is a dicey one, kicked off by Warble. He closes to 45 and makes them pay. Indeed he does. Things going from bad to worse from the Poulter's men. Shares it now with Hewitt going inside 50. Waterman dives to take it just before it gets there. A very fancy looking slips catch there for Waterman going to his left. Connects from 55. Distance not the issue. It's all the way there for a goal. A despairing leap on the goal line there from his former teammate Barris, but it just carries the line. A second goal for Jake Waterman.
Handball back to Meek. This one a little bit more effective from the big man. Floats over the head of McDonald, who immediately gave the lightning handball to Hardwick. On to Ginnivan, around to Morrison. He hooks it home.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the AFL.
On your radio.
ABC Sport Digital.
And on the ABC Listen app.
Half-time at Docklands, where Hawthorn is in control, to the tune of 35 points over West Coast. 9-10-64 to 4-5-29 at the major break. A short time ago at the MCG across town, Carlton did in fact defeat Geelong. That was 14-10-94 to 12-4-76. So a third straight win for the Blues, helped along by 3 goals each for Charlie Curnow and Harry Mackay. We saw 30 disposals for Sam Walsh and 29 for George Hewitt. Very important goal there at the end as well. And Jeremy Cameron kicked 4 goals for the Cats, and they're leading possession with Buddy Smith with 29 disposals and a goal as well. But yes, Carlton have won that game by 3 goals at the MCG. Earlier at Carrara, Gold Coast kicked 12 straight to topple the Sydney Swans, who were challenging for much of that game, particularly the first half. Gold Coast winning that 17-15 15-117 to 12-7-79. 38 points the margin there. Carrara, Ben King kicked 5, Buddy Humphrey kicked 4. It was a 67-point turnaround. And also for the Gold Coast Suns, Jed Walter kicked 3 goals, and we did also see John Noble rack up 30 disposals there as well as 7 marks. So, yes, the Gold Coast Suns winners earlier. There is still a half and 40 left here to conclude round 7 on this Sunday.
And Ben King now +3 in the Coleman too.
Incredible.
Yep, so he is having a great season, and St Kilda fans that have got Jack Higgins, who, in second spot with 20 must be thinking, gee, I wouldn't mind having the brother.
We did have news from the MRO coming through as well. There's one keen punter who's got the dance cam and he's sort of taking his shirt off and he's having a great time of things, this fella. They sometimes have plants, don't they, in the audience? Maybe he's someone who, I hope he's a plant. Otherwise, he's just a guy who's ripped his shirt off. Anyway, not to get too distracted. MRO, Paul Curtis is the headline there. So a 3-week ban for a tackle that did concuss Port Adelaide's Josh Sin. So Paul Curtis from North Melbourne charged with rough conduct, rating the incident careless conduct, high contact and severe impact. So that's why it's a 3-match ban. He'll miss games against Essendon, Brisbane and Richmond unless he does choose to challenge successfully.
And been just about their best player.
Yeah, he was good yesterday for them as well in that game. They almost won. They lost by 9 points. Tom Green as well. I called the game last night in Canberra and he did make incidental contact to the head of Joel Frazier, sort of with his backside or his hip as he was getting the football, and it's been deemed no case to answer there for the Giants midfield ball.
Was that the view of the crew on the broadcast last night, Spriggy?
I think we would have been surprised if there'd been any forthcoming. However, in this business, you never quite know. So I think there's relief there for the Giants who... lost that game last night. A great win for the Doggies, who put themselves back in the top 8 with that victory in Canberra last night. You're with Brett Sprigg, Joel Peterson, Karen Peterson, Nathan Burke, Alexia Pesce on the boundary as well. And you can text us 0437 774 774 as we wind things up here on the Anzac Day weekend. AFL round 7, and still no change. Bailey McDonald, the sub for Hawthorn, and Noah Long, the sub for West Coast. Nothing has happened there quite as yet. Question is, Berkey and Kez, and at least you've been consistent because we weren't giving the Eagles much of a chance to start with from the outset. But they showed a bit more in that second term. 35 points is the margin here in Hawthorn's favour. What's the key thing for McQualter's men to work on in the second half?
Starts at that centre bounce, get the ball going your way. We've got 6-on-6 inside your forward 50. At the moment, they're losing those centre bounces. Winning the ball deep in their defence means they've got to get through 18 Hawthorn players to get the ball down their end. Whereas you win the ball in the centre bounce, you've only got to get through 6 of them. It just makes it so much easier. So they need to tighten up that area of the game. The other thing is risk and reward. We mentioned it just before the break. They're going to turn the ball over at certain times. They're going to make a mess of things at certain times because they're still learning how to play that way. But keep taking the game on. Keep taking the ball through the corridor as much as they can. Keep storming past for a handball as much as you possibly can, because if you get the ball slowly into the Hawthorn defence, they'll win that 9 times out of 10. So if they're going to get themselves back into this game, they really need to take the game on.
Yep, I would agree with that. I think the kick mark game is not their style. It can't be. Hawthorn's defensive pressure is too good to be able to chip mark the ball through the ground and use the ball. Like if you think of the way that Collingwood are able to pierce the ground and really open you up that way, that's not what West Coast are. They're not quite good enough yet. Their foot skills aren't anywhere near as good enough to be able to execute that kind of game style. So for them, it's going to be a little bit of run and gun, and with that comes some chaos. So can they keep the ball in motion? Can they keep it moving forward? And then can they get their forwards the best opportunity that they possibly can? I'd love to see Owies. He hasn't had a particularly good day thus far, but he is usually a very good finisher of the footy. Can he get his hands on it? Can we see Harley Reid get his hands on it around the middle of the ground and start to penetrate the ball forward? So I'm sure those are the things that Andrew McQualter and the coaching staff will go looking for and what they would have spoken about at halftime.
A disappointed Dan from Perth on the SMS says, I hope the Eagles give Oscar Allen to the Hawks at half-time. Well, he's playing down back as well, curiously, which is another thing they've done here, which is a bit different. He has sort of swung forward and back a little bit, but playing as a backman here today, and he goes back to the back line here to start the second half. And it's all part of the curiosity here, the whole Sam Mitchell, Oscar Allen scenario, and these two clubs at an I wouldn't say an all-time low as far as diplomacy, but
he's your captain, and he's had 2 kicks, 1 handball, going at 67%, and 1 contested possession, 2 marks.
You certainly can't show it, that body language, if it's negative body language, but he must be thinking, oh, gee,
Oh, he's been beaten a couple of times, hands down, in a couple of one-on-one contests too, so for him it'll just be, can he win half the contest, not let Marby or Chol get on top.
Hawks by 35, Sunday footy on ABC Sport. You're with Joel Peterson.
Might not be an all-time low in terms of diplomacy, Spriggy. It might be a China-US style trade war at the moment between Hawthorn and West Coast, and tariffs being applied as from the stoppage the Hawks are able to chain it away. Cripps lays a strong tackle. So for all their centre clearance dominance and dominance around clearance, +8 Hawthorn, they've only scored 2 goals from that source so far today. The Eagles have done a good job to restrict their capacity to dominate the game from that area. Flynn in ruck for West Coast, just tries to surge it forward. A high kick, bounces on its end awkwardly for Owies. Picked up by Ward of Hawthorn. Handball to Sicily, to Hustwaite on the bounce to Battle. Back to Sicily, all by hand. All at left half back, and now Hustwaite launches the kick down the line. Meek caught in the sandwich between Ginby and Flynn. Picking it up and getting it away was Huff. Kicks up toward half forward, bounced off the chest of Owies. Free kick going to Sicily. Matt Owies is convinced it's his. James Sicily's the beneficiary of the decision. He'll take it from inside the defensive 50 here for Hawthorn.
So, I think the sub might have been made here for Hawthorn as well. Down to Lex very shortly as Moore comes beyond defensive 50 on the half volley, gathered there by D'Ambrosio. Waits a tackle, sends his kick down the line, out in front. Watson reaching for it. He's on quickly here. A push and shove there with Ginby. Umpire just goes in to split them. Now Weddle fires the hand pass back to Ginnivan. Pulls his kick, centering ball, 40 out and marking Connor McDonald. That was neatly done from Hawthorn. And they start this second half the way they ended the first. That was just clean ball movement. And now an opportunity here for Connor McDonald. Alexia Pesce on the boundary.
I think it's Jack Scrimshaw. No, it is Jack Scrimshaw who's subbed off, and it is concussion. So he got a knee to the back of the head. I think it was from Liam Ryan, and he went down into the rooms at the end of the last quarter. So he is done for the day with Bailey McDonald taking his place.
Okay, thanks, Lex. Here is Connor McDonald. He lines up the kick from 40 out, and he misses to that for some reason, shaky Coventry end of Docklands. 9-11-65 to 4-5-29. The Hawks now by 36 points.
Someone has opened the gates under that grandstand, and there's a bit of a breeze coming through there.
1 goal 6 in his past 2 weeks now for Connor McDonald.
Well, maybe not the wind when you kick it like that.
Yeah, maybe he just needs a new pair of boots.
Learn how to kick it straight.
Here's Tom Cole, the Sandhurst Dragon. Walters outside defensive 50 and launches a long kick up the city side wing. Waterman in front, couldn't take the mark. Impey's handball knocked down by Harley Reid, who shakes the tackle, flicks the handball straight to Barras. He gets it on now for Hawthorn to Hustwaite, who's running forward and kicking neatly to the chest of Chol. 65 metres out from goal at left half forward, goes to the pocket. Hardwick back with the flight, not quite. Allen was with him every step of the way. And it goes out for a throw in left forward pocket. Hawks into attack. They lead by 6 straight kicks. 3 gone third term.
And you see with Hustwaite, he's such a composed mover with the football. Never looks hurried. Just takes his time, picks the right target, and he's got a damaging left foot.
Every 34 disposals on the VFL. Box Hill this year, Henry Hustwaite. Back in it comes. Meek palms it down there. Ginby clears the area for West Coast. High spiraling ball back the middle of Docklands, and Sicily takes a chest mark. So Hawthorn cut it off on halfway. Early stages, third term, Sunday footy on ABC Sport. Hawks skipper goes down the line. Big pack goes up. At the back there, Hardwick. On in turn here as Hutchinson can rebound the West Coast Eagles. Barras beats Waterman in the contest. Intercepts here just behind that outer wing, and now Sicily retreats all the way back inside the D50. Oh, it's marked by Josh Battle.
So Battle's going to have to move it on. Moore presents up at the back point of the square. That's the direction in which he goes. Moore wants to roll immediately. Right foot kicks a good one to the AFL logo for Newcomb. Broadcast side of the ground. Newcomb comes laterally across the centre of the ground. Impey collects on the half volley. Steps around Owies with ease. Handball a bit too hot though for Ward. Cut off coming the other way by Davis to Waterman. Back to Davis. Bit of a fumble. Mops up. He sold Hutchinson into trouble. Put him straight into the path of Newcomb. Now Hardwick picks up for the Hawks. Handball to the stationary Hustwaite from the centre of the ground. It's a good flaring kick and a neat entry inside the 50 for Chol, who rises in the left forward pocket and pulls it in. 25 from home.
There's a big difference when Hawthorn are able to affect the turnover across the middle of the ground. They're fast, they slingshot forward and give the likes of Marby or Chol the best opportunity to outpoint his defender. When West Coast turn it over, it's slow. They don't want to go quickly like with that risk reward that we talk about. Berkey, I'd love to see them take that and use the space, use their legs and go forward quickly, give their forwards the best chance.
Leading goal kicker last year, Marby or Chol, kicked a career high 5 against West Coast in 2022 for the Gold Coast Suns. Kick of 30 metres here on the left boot, and he admonishes himself as soon as he struck it in frustration as he left that way to the left-hand side. 37-point lead, 5 minutes gone, third term on ABC Sport.
Ovens kick out finds Oscar Allen. Been very quiet, the co-captain, down back this afternoon. To the other side, where it's marked by Owies. He's a long way from home on that city side wing, the Docklands. Out towards half forward. Barris again back with a flight, competes with Waterman coming the other way and spoils it out of bounds for a throw-in.
They moved it really quickly to the wing and then Owies got it and it just stopped and allowed all the Hawthorn defenders to get behind the football, set it up. You're not going to be able to kick the ball long without Barris and Battle and these guys getting in the way. So once they get to the wing, they've got to keep rolling the dice.
Umpire heaves it back in. Flynn and Meek in the ruck contest. Going forward on the outside, McKenzie. Warple wrapped up, feeds it. That was a little dicey, that disposal. Yep, umpire pings in for a throw. So Hutchinson will have it for West Coast. 60 from goal at right half forward.
Just sort of held it out there on a platter. It was a nice little delivery.
Little offload, like rugby style.
Yep, absolutely. Just didn't have a forward coming past. So Hutchinson kicks to full forward. Waterman, first bite of the cherry. There's a free kick in the marking contest, though. Looks like it's going to Sicily. Well, even if it wasn't, he was keen to take the kick, James Sicily. Waterman wouldn't have been paid the mark anyway. And so James Sicily at the top of the defensive goal square for Hawthorn, up by 37 points. Called to play on, comes out toward Watson. Kick finds him on the bounce. Tom Cole right there as well, keeps it in play. Handball around the corner to Reid. Reid's handball cut off by Nick Watson. Those two got familiar earlier in the game. Bailey McDonald, the sub for Hawthorn, into the action now. He's got the ball at right half back. Jack Scrimshaw, as Lex told us, subbed out of the game with concussion. And Bailey McDonald looks like a bloke who hasn't played since the back end of 2023. He's kicked it 15 metres straight down the throat of Tom Cole. He comes short to Jaden Hunt. The West Coast Eagles still 55 from goal.
The former Demon looks at the options. Sets it up high to the hot spot here for West Coast. Top of the square. Harley Reid reaching for it. Can't reel it in. Owies at the bootlaces. Tries to sweep it off the deck. Now he's brought to ground. The umpire will ball it up. By the way, the Coventry end today, 4 goals, 14 all up from both sides. So,
told you.
Lockett's whatever Coventry at this stage. Meek down here. Cripps has a slap it forward here for the Eagles. Tries again with a tackle. And clear the area. Hawthorn through Josh Battle. Up in the air, speaking of battles, there's Chol and Oscar Allen bursting by. In there is Liam Duggan. Did he keep it alive? No. We'll throw it back in on the outer side of the ground at right half forward for the Eagles. Left half back for Hawthorn. Alexia Pesce on the boundary.
I can confirm, Berkey, there is no wind at the Coventry end, so maybe there's a curse, a spell, I don't know, we'll have to look into it.
What if we were at Waverley 20 years ago, or 25 years ago, these two sides? Would have been even worse.
It would have been nil or draw. These blokes wouldn't be able to score at all.
McKenzie at the stoppage. Tries to take it away for Hawthorn. Doing well was Davis. Handed it off to Flynn. Tumbles a kick inside the forward 50. Bouncing ball. Who does it sit for? Oh, brilliant from Archer Reid. Tapped it to Ryan, who slid it home. 2 goals for Liam Ryan. But that was all courtesy of the craft of big Archer Reid with a brilliant knock on. And the Eagles get their first of this second half, the first for either side. 5-5-35, plays 9-12-66. 9 minutes gone, third quarter on ABC Sport. You're with Nathan Burke and Kez Peterson.
It was really deliberate, wasn't it? I'm just looking back at the replay. Very, very clever. Knew exactly where his forwards were going to be, and I need to give a little bit of credit to the West Coast forwards. There was actually a couple of them lined up just that front and centre, worked really hard to the front of the contest, and their big forward Reid just put it into the space. Great finish. It's been a little bit of an almost game for Liam Ryan. He's run past a few contests and almost mitted it and been able to run into open goal, and it's bounced left or right of him, but that was a great finish. Really, really nice forward craft from both the big and the small.
Liam Ryan involved in 28% of West Coast scoring overall. There's a big slice of what they do up forward. 2 goals here this afternoon. Meek wins it down. Hutchinson tries to find the clearance. He was dumped in the follow-up tackle by the big man. Still alive here for the Eagles, and Cripps supporting. Hoff gets it forward for West Coast. Inside 50. Archer Reid dives in. Barris brought to ground by Waterman, his former teammate. The umpire will ball it up. 25 out directly in front from West Coast goal. The Lockett end the Docklands. It's Hawthorn who lead here by 31 points.
The accuracy end so far today. Meek reaches over the top of Archer Reid, straight to Harley Reid, who throws his fist at the Sherrin to demonstrate that he was trying to do something with it. He's caught in the tackle. We'll have another ball up. Meek had the better of the tap. More hands and knees stuff. Handball straight to Hoff for the Eagles. Ryan got one across the shoulder from McKenzie. No free kick. Spills out toward the boundary line. Ward, from a first-round pick of the Hawks. Back to Warple. Drives his kick off half-back. McGovern floats across and intercepts, but there's a whistle on the play. And the ball is going to come to Mabior Chol here.
It's downfield against Harley Reid.
Call Berkey. So Mabior Chol's got it at left half-back for the Hawks.
2 goals today for him, Mabior Chol. From left half back this time. Hits to a contest. Huswaite ducks a tackle. On they go here. Hawthorn inside 50, and Dylan Moore gets on the end of it. It's a nice change from the Hawks. And Dylan Moore comes in, completes the handiwork there of Conor McDonald, who has the inside 50. And he'll have his set shot here, Dylan Moore, from 30 out on a tough angle deep in the left forward pocket.
You look at the Hawthorns' big, tall, key forwards, and like Mabior Chol's down there, Gunston, we know what he can do, but they've just got so many of these type of player between Hardwick and Moore and Watson and Ginnivan that they can just hurt you inside 50.
Dylan Moore goalless in his past 2 games, both of them losses for Hawthorn. Their vice-captain right across the face, hits the behind post on that far side, so it's no change to our score. And the only goal this third term so far has been West Coast. It's Hawthorn 9, 12-66. The Eagles are 5-5-35. 12 gone third term. Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
Oscar Allen to kick in from next to the behind post for the Eagles. Kicks to the broadcast side. Jack Williams among the targets, and Newcomb rising highest. Takes a terrific mark. A couple of times he's got upstairs today, John Newcomb. Off to Amon, handball to McKenzie, just forward of the centre circles. Their little hezzy move before he got going. Kicks inside the forward 50, floats over the head of McGovern. It opens the door for Dylan Moore, who won't miss this opportunity. He rolls into an unguarded goal. And Hawthorn's 37-point gap restored. 10-12-72 to 5-5-35. 12 and a half minutes gone. Third term, Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
Well, Kez, that was just a lapse from the West Coast young defence there. The ball went inside 50. It was just a scrubber kick. And 3 players there from Hawthorn probably could have raffled it and all ran into open goal. It was just a lack of resetting. The ball got kicked out. They didn't think it was going to come back in as quickly as it did, and they were just caught napping.
Yeah, it wasn't even the younger players. It was actually McGovern was the one that really got lost. He allowed his direct opponent to roll off the back as he came forward, and then got caught in no man's lane. Didn't really need to come forward because the opponent already had a West Coast Eagles defender on them. So, yeah, a bit of a bad patch for the West Coast defenders.
And that little goal drought broken there by Dylan Moore with that opportunity. And Hawthorn leads by 37 points here. Restart back in the middle. Secondary ball up here as the umpire couldn't split them. Chol competes with Hutchinson. And now Baker is brought to ground. Umpire says, give it to me. Up it goes. Chol competes in the ruck with Williams. Bursting off half-back, Carl Amon. Left foot kick down the line. Oh, is it worked out okay there, Weddle? Is he paid the mark? He is. So Weddle, 45 from goal, kicking towards that Coventry end. And he might fancy himself here to have the set shot. Weddle plays on, gives it everything all the way home. Josh Weddle with his first of the afternoon, and Hawthorn now has a game-high lead. 11-12-78 plays West Coast, 5-5-35 here at Docklands on ABC Sport. And welcome those just joining us from the MCG. This is the third term at Docklands. Hawthorn have just kicked a goal through Josh Weddle, and that's now a game-high lead. So 43 points is the home side's break here on West Coast. Hawks 11-12-78. The Eagles 5-5-35. 15 gone third term. Sunday footy on ABC Sport. Your experts here, Carlton captain Karen Peterson and St Kilda legend and Hall of Famer Nathan Burke.
Centre clearances are 10-5 now. They haven't been able to bridge that gap. They're working hard at getting some secondary bounces here, the West Coast Eagles, but they need to bridge that gap.
It is the gap in the game in terms of clearances overall as well. 26-21 the way of the Hawks. 2 goals to Marby Ochol, 2 goals to Jack Gunston for Hawthorn, 2 to Ryan, 2 to Waterman. 7-point gap at quarter time, 35 at the half. But as Spriggy said, it's now out to a game-high 43 for the Hawks. Hounded forward here by Graham for the Eagles to full forward. Waterman had a good piece of it, couldn't take the mark. Morrison for Hawthorn, handball to Battle, handball to Sicily, loops it over the top to Morrison, gathers in the one hand, arches the back, almost got away from the tackle, but the Eagles drag it back into the mess. Hewitt got it to Graham, Graham goes around the body, put a bit too much curve on it, minor score, and the margin back to 7 straight kicks.
That's Joel Peterson. I'm Brett Sprigg. Alexia Pesce on the boundary here as well. A sub was made a short time ago for the Hawks. Jack Scrimshaw out with concussion, so Lee McDonald is on the action here for Hawthorn. Noah Long is the West Coast sub, and no movement there as yet. Here they go, the Hawks, through the sub. McDonald to the outer side. Off hands, it does come down here. And keep it moving. Not so tidy as Gunston gathers off half forward. Gives it back here. Going inside 50, Watson finds Chol. In fact, it was a good mark from Nabior Chol on the end of the kick from Conor McDonald. So Chol will mark again in the left forward pocket. He had a set shot opportunity here from this angle a short time ago and missed. Perhaps a slightly better angle this time. Looking to add to his 2 goals this afternoon.
Again, just great transition from Hawthorn. Turnover off the half-back line. They're just so fast when they explode out of that contest, particularly through the front of the stoppage. And really, unfortunately for the West Coast defenders, they had no chance to get a hand to that one.
Nabior Chol, 3 goals against the Cats on Easter Monday. Lining up for his 3rd here of the afternoon. It's on its way and offline. Minor score. Hawthorn 11-13-79. West Coast 5-6-36. Winners earlier today, Gold Coast over the Swans by 38 at Carrara. A short time ago at the MCG, Carlton by 18 over Geelong. You can text us as always, 0437 774 774 as we wrap up the Anzac Day weekend. Round 7 on ABC Sport.
2-2 for Marby Ochol. Josh Battles had it the most times for the Hawks with 21. Ryan Marrick, 19 for the Eagles. Hutchinson at halfback as they possess the footy. Minus 50 uncontested possessions. West Coast. Hutchinson comes to Allen. Left halfback, he's hemmed in. And it all slows down in front of him, so he's got to dump it long down the line. Meek's been the dominant ruck on the ground today. Weddle's taken a couple of really nice marks. He flowed across that contest, but brought it down to Hutchinson, who gave it to Waterman. Just got the kick away in the nick of time. Inside the forward 50 for West Coast. Battle mops up. Morrison's handball was a shocker for Sicily. Gave him no play at the ball. And it trickles out of play for a throw-in. Left half forward, Eagles into attack. They kick to the Lockett end in this term, which has been the far more accurate end of the 2 in the ball game so far. That's Hawthorn by 43 points.
Umpire tosses it back in on the junction of 50. Rucks get to it. Meek and Flynn Hutchinson beaten, but works out okay for Flynn. Back to Jack Graham, the former Tiger. High ball inside 50 here for West Coast. Waterman Puck underneath it now competes with Barris. Brought to ground by his former teammate, and the umpire will ball it up again. 20 out from goal. West Coast's attacking end. They trail by 43 points here at Docklands. Umpire wastes no time. Flynn palms it down. It was missed by Cripps. And underneath all of that, we'll get up and have it all again.
Sam Mitchell's headed down to the Hawthorn bench in this quarter just to issue the direct instructions to his players. Meek reaches up in ruck, knocks it down. Hewitt shrugs one tackle. Handball it back into the mess. Hunt almost got dacked as he got the kick away and then grabs McKenzie, walks him across the line. Umpire says toss it in, left forward pocket for the Eagles.
At least Sam Mitchell was talking to his own players this time, not other players. West Coast, for example.
Yeah, it's about as close as he's got to Oscar Allen since they met for coffee, I'd say. They're about 12 metres away from one another. A couple of Hawks in between. All tossed back in. Meek reaches across Flynn, knocks it down to Warple, spirals the kick outside the defensive 50 up toward the AFL logo, bounces off the chest of McGovern, picked up by Marrick, handball to Duggan, who was immediately grabbed. In fact, it's Cole who was set upon by Jack Gunston. Right next to the Anzac Appeal logo, we'll have it tossed up broadcast side.
Hawks by 43. Up it goes again. Meek beaten by Flynn this time. Graham hacks it forward here for West Coast. Sicily on the intercepts. Can't control it. Cripps does the crumbing. Danger here for Hawthorn's defence. Hawthorn wrapped up down there. Great tackle it was by McKenzie. Footy comes loose. And again, it's locked in for a ball up. Well, for a second, McKenzie's tackle might have been rewarded. The stoppage inside 50 here for West Coast again. Meek out the back. Warple collected again by Flynn, and Cripps will ball it up again. 11-13 plays, 5-6. We've just hit time on here in this third term. Sunday footy on ABC Sport from Docklands.
2 goals in the term for the Hawks, just the one for the Eagles. Clearing kick is marked desperately by Baker, who comes diving forward to pull it in just millimetres above the turf. Front point of the square for the Eagles. 65 from home. Sets it up. Top of the goal square. Rising in front. Not being able to pull it down was Archer Reid. Spills to Harley Reid. Arches the back. Finds some space and shows his considerable class. That's the kind of glimpse that makes you wonder what on earth this man could be. Harley Reid with his first meaningful intervention in the game. It's a 37-point lead to Hawthorn. West Coast with their 6-6-42 to the Hawks 11-13-79 before Nathan Burke and Kez Peterson. Let's go boundary side. Alexia Pesce.
This is a bit cheeky, but Oscar Allen's off at the moment and he keeps looking over at the Hawks bench where Sam Mitchell's now sitting. Interesting.
Going to need you to listen into that, Alexia, and just report back when you can. Sneaky little microphone placement, I reckon. But yeah, look, that was Harley Reid's best moment of the game by a long way. It's only his third kick for the day. He's really been relatively ineffectual, but you can just see the strength when he finds his way into, just bullies his way through the front of the contest there, and a really great finish.
In his 27th game, Harley Reid never had a win here in Victoria, his home state. In the centre bounce clearance, Warple run aground by Jack Hutchinson. Again, will ball it up.
I think all Sam Mitchell has to say is, hey, Oscar, do you want to play in the back line or the forward line?
Yeah.
Because I've got a forward line spot here for you.
It's a curious subplot with that whole thing, the fact he's playing down back today, as selected by Andrew McQualter.
And, of course, he was rested last week, which meant that he didn't reach his 100th game against Hawthorn, because he's on 99 as of today.
Hawks by 37. Flynn extracts it out of the right, goes towards half forward. Dropped down there by Dewar. Hawks have numbers in defence. Wayward hand pass though by Amon. Mopped up by Jaden Hunt. Centering ball. Oh, he's waiting for it. Right place, right time. And he takes the chest mark. 20 out, slight angle right of centre.
Well, a bit better there by the Eagles. Got a centre clearance, got the ball inside 50. It was a scramble, like most of their goals have come from a bit of a scramble rather than really concerted hitting a fella on the chest. But that's the way you've got to beat Hawthorn. It can't be pretty football. You just got to get it in there time and time again and just put enormous pressure on them.
Not always. He leads the comp for forward 50 pressure. Here he is in attack, lining up for goal, and he makes no mistake. So West Coast with an improved third term. but they still trail here by some 31 points. West Coast are 7-6, 48. Hawthorn 11-13, 79 at Docklands. And we've now played 24 minutes in this third quarter. Sunday footy on ABC Sport. Your experts, Karen Peterson and Nathan Burke.
I'm going to ask you guys at the front, is that the first time that West Coast kicked back-to-back goals today?
No, they did it in the first quarter.
There we go. I'll just
second two of the first quarter.
Well, that point is just totally void in that case. However, it would be a good thing for the West Coast coaching staff. As we keep mentioning, they're going to go looking for small wins throughout the day. The end result is obviously not really something that they're going to go and heavily scrutinise. I wouldn't imagine. It's going to be the small wins and back-to-back goals. How many times they can do that during the day is going to be something I'm sure that they'll look at. Just stops the momentum of Hawthorn. Means they've got to win the ball around the ground, and they've done a good job of that.
Might cost me on the drive home, that one, Berkey. Back in the middle, Flynn knocks it down, looking for Reid. Hawks with the takeaway. A tumbling kick for the Eagles, in fact, I should say, and it's knocked down inside forward 50 as well. Good stuff from Hewitt. Oh, look at Graham charging through, and he got run down by Amon. Carl Amon with a lunging effort on the last line. Drags down Jack Graham and saves what would have been a certain West Coast goal. That 31-point margin stays intact for Hawthorn. Amon chips short to Warple. Hawks look to exit the defensive 50. They've only won 2 quarters for the season so far, West Coast. They're ahead of the ledger so far in this term with 3 goals to 2. Warple kicks down the line. Meek had it go through his hands. Morrison a play at it. Picked up by Davis for West Coast. He turned it over. Morrison now to Hustwaite. Hustwaite's kick to right half forward. Picked up brilliantly by Hardwick. Low down, right out of half forward. Chinby got him and wasn't letting go. Great intensity from the young West Coast defender, who wraps up a tough nut in Blake Hardwick and wins it back.
Hawks still by 31. Ginby, the Dunsborough lad. It's from left half back at the logo commentary side. Little with a contest. The spoil there on Williams. Set the drop Davis to Cripps and can't quite spend it cleanly. It's over for a throw-in. Pete in Ballarat says, my mails that Sonny Mitch was asking Oscar Allen if Harley Reid wants to come back to Victoria. Oh, don't worry. I'm sure Hawks are in the queue for him. A lot of Victorian sides certainly would be, despite his somewhat being down on form in his second season, Harley Reid. Back in it comes, late in the third term. Flynn to the outside. Trapped there by Josh Ward. Hand pass away. Hustwaite's kick heading towards half forward. Off the pack. Watson brought down by Oscar Allen. And we'll ball up again at right half forward for Hawthorn.
The intensity's just gone up a couple of notches here. Really good tackle pressure from both teams. Much better contest.
Good aerial contest from Newcomb and Ginby as well at half forward. Davis stripped of it by Ward at the stoppage. Nice handball. Warple to Hustwaite. Shows them a clean pair of heels. Handball to the ruckman who got caught. Just got it away, did Meek. Down low is Huff, who keeps it in. Handball turned over. Morrison, Meek. Back to Morrison. Lightning 1-2. Eyes up. Sends it to full forward. And Gunston got the step on McGovern. And pulls in the mark in front of the eyes. McGovern came across late to knock it loose, but Jack Gunston had his name written all over it. 25 out, 45-degree angle, right of centre.
It's well played by Morrison, just persisted. And I love the way Jack Gunston, he's one of the only forwards in the league who leads straight at the kicker.
3 last week for Jack Gunston. And that one is an uncharacteristic set shot that faded from left to right. And missed for a minor score. 32 points the Hawks lead. 80 plays 48, 27.5 gone. Third term, Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
I want Alexia to go stand down in that behind those goals and tell me how windy it is.
West Coast go beyond defensive 50. Get to Lex shortly. It's onward here is Huff for West Coast. Dispossessed, and now McKenzie receives a hand pass. Points it back towards right half forward, marked by Scholl, 65 from goal. Down to you, Lex, quickly.
Berkey, do you want me to have a kick as well?
Yes, please. You kick it straighter than what they can at the moment.
Scholl kicks straight here, finds the Gunston lead. And he'll try and kick himself from deep in the right forward pocket, 40 out. So we've seen now, in this game, we've seen 6 goals, 17. No, 6 goals, 15 at that end.
Yep.
The commentary
16 in a minute.
It's a curious thing. Gunston Here's a good set shot. Starts left, comes back, not quite enough. It's in fact marked on the behind line by McGovern, so it's no change to our score. Hawks 11-14-80, West Coast 7-6-48 as we approach three-quarter time here at Dockland.
And that's a second set shot from inside 50 that hasn't made the distance.
If they did leave the door open, Berkey, the AFL wouldn't admit it. It'd be called strategic open space or something down there, I'd imagine. It's Bailey McDonald's dragged across the boundary line. It'll be thrown back in.
Sorry, 6-16 as it is, so nearly 6-17.
Just on that point, why wasn't there a big key forward or a ruckman from Hawthorn on the line ready to mark that? That was just an uncontested mark. I think it was McGovern in the end.
God, they're not that smart, Kes.
Ball tossed back in and 12-4 to the other end.
One of the little fellas didn't tell them.
It's not even the fourth quarter and Berkey's already into the ruck, but here we go.
Well, it's the same thing happened in the first quarter as well. Harley Reid gets the free kick off the stoppage. Handball's off to Allen, who waltzes down that City side and kicks it out of bounds on the full. No, Liam Ryan just got a hand to it before it crossed the chalk, or at least the line of the chalk when it crossed the plane.
Getting a hand is generous. It was off his chest, and he had a good look at it and just somehow spilled it.
Maybe it was on plum pudding.
I reckon he might have given up on it because he thought it was out of bounds on the full. Anyhow, it's a throw in between the wing and half forward. Eagles in attack.
Only takes big ones. Good hangers up front, but not the simple ones. Down it comes here. No, it's being unkind. Huswaite slides in for Hawthorn. They clear through McKenzie. High kick up the City side wing. Scholl in the contest with Allen. Spoiled back here in the path of Hunt. Fires the hand pass. Neat there for Harley Reid. Onto it now. Hoffman close to 50. The finish on the run. And it's not quite. Offline left-hand side. Barris and Waterman tracking it back there. Minor score West Coast 7-7-49. Hawthorn 11-14-80. We've just hit the half-hour mark here of the third term. Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
Again, great passage of play from the Eagles. Using the handball chain through the middle of the ground, opened themselves up, had a really good shot at goal.
Oh, Chol rising over the pack once more. It was a long kick in from Battle. And Marbior Chol's used Lloyd Meek as the step ladder and misstepped on the way down and maybe turned the ankle.
Look, not very happy being Lloyd either.
They both look a little bit sore and worse for wear after that. Hawks chain it forward to Moore. Rolls immediately. Hardwick is all alone. Gunston's closer to goal. Handball over the top. Seconds winding down. Gunston's got 3. And the Hawks go coast to coast right on the eve of three-quarter time. And 37 points is the margin once more. 12-14-86 to 7-7-49. That is with only seconds remaining in this third term. Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
It was a big grab by Marbior, but he did use Lloyd Meek's shoulders. And Big Lloyd got up a little bit tender. But the West Coast defenders, I don't think they were expecting the ball to come back that quickly, because they just found themselves horribly out of play. You cannot have Hardwick standing 20 metres out from goal all by himself and then the ability to handball to Gunston in the goal square. That doesn't happen unless you've switched off when the ball's down the field. They're not expecting it to come back.
Nathan Burke on ABC Sport alongside Kes Peterson, your experts. As we near three-quarter time, clearance West Coast. Duggan hacks it forward. And that will be it to signal the final change. Hawthorn 12-14-86. The West Coast 7-7-49. Margin 37. The game's not got to any real great heights as far as standard, or I think we all expected Hawthorn would be the dominant side, but there was a game high 43-point margin in that third term as well, but just beyond the 6-goal difference here so far at the final change. For Hawthorn, 3 goals to Jack Gunston. We heard the third one there. 2 to Mabior Chol, and a fantastic big pack hang in that time on period in the third quarter as well. Singles to Morrison, to Warple, Moore, Hardwick, Weddle, Ginnivan and Watson. Meanwhile for West Coast, 2 goals each for Liam Ryan and Jake Waterman. 1 to Harley Reid, which is also in that third term. Owies on the board as well, and Jack Williams also for the West Coast Eagles. Winners earlier today, Gold Coast over Sydney by 38 points at Carrara, and at the MCG across town, Carlton by 18 points over Geelong. So a third straight win now for Michael Voss's men. This is the final quarter of AFL Round 7 coming up. Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
ABC iView covers every angle. Insiders.
Who will govern Australia for the next 3 years?
Swingers.
Swing voters are where all the action's at.
And Gruen Nation.
You can trust me.
ABC iView. Always free, always informative. This is the 2025 AFL Premiership season on ABC Sport.
Doing well was Davis, handed it off to Flynn, tumbled a kick inside the forward 50, bouncing ball, who does it sit for? Oh, brilliant from Archer Reid, tapped it to Ryan, who slid it home. 2 goals for Liam Ryan, but that was all courtesy of the craft of big Archer Reid with a brilliant knock on. Off to Amon, handball to McKenzie, just forward of the centre circles. Their little hezzy move before he got going, kicks inside the forward 50, floats over the head of McGovern. It opens the door for Dylan Moore, who won't miss this opportunity. He rolls into an unguarded goal.
Bursting off half-back Carl Amon, left foot kick down the line. Oh, has it worked out okay there? Weddle, is he paid the mark? He is. So Weddle, 45 from goal, plays on. Gives it everything all the way home. Josh Weddle with his first of the afternoon.
Top of the goal square, rising in front, not being able to pull it down was Archer Reid. Spills to Harley Reid, arches the back, finds some space and shows his considerable class. That's the kind of glimpse that makes you wonder what on earth this man could be.
Wayward hand pass though by Amon, mopped up by Jaden Hunt. Centering ball, oh he's waiting for it, right place, right time. And he takes the chest mark, 20 out, slight angle right of centre. That always relieves the comp for forward 50 pressure. Here he is in attack, lining up for goal, and he makes no mistake.
Hawks chain it forward to Moore, rolls immediately, Hardwick is all alone, Gunston's close to the goal, handball over the top, seconds winding down, Gunston's got 3.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the AFL.
On your radio.
ABC Sport Digital.
And on the ABC Listen app.
The Hawks are out to reaffirm their place in the top 8 and remain there at the end of 7 rounds of football, or in fact, I guess 8 rounds of football here in season 2025. This is Sunday Footy on ABC Sport. You're with Brett Sprigg alongside Joel Peterson. Alexia Pesha is on the boundary for us, and your experts are Carlton captain Karen Peterson and Hall of Famer Nathan Burke.
It's a bit more of an entertaining third term there, I reckon, than what we saw in the first half, Berkey. I thought West Coast started to take on the game a little bit and use that overlap handball through the middle of the ground. Had a little bit of everything, some high-flying marks and a bit of niggle around the ground. It was, as I said, it was quite entertaining. Really interestingly, across the stats, there's actually not that big of a discrepancy across most of the sort of key indicators. Contested possession, the Hawks are only +7, which is something that the Eagles have gone to work on. We heard McQualter talk about that after the Essendon game, that was something that they focused heavily on, was just getting their hands on the contested ball and being able to win it for themselves. The uncontested possessions have blown out to nearly +55, but I don't think that that's the game style that West Coast is going after, so I wouldn't be too concerned about that. What I would be concerned about if I was West Coast is the marks inside forward 50 at the moment. Hawthorn have taken 19 marks inside forward 50. West Coast have only taken 4, and that's why the score is what it is. And if I'm being completely fair to Hawthorn, it should be a lot more. This margin, they've kicked 12 goals, 14. So their inaccuracy in front of goal has continued, and hopefully it's not something that really burdens them for multiple weeks, but we saw them last week go at about 50% of their inside 50 efficiency, and it seems to continue today. So hopefully for their sake they can straighten that up over the next couple of weeks, but certainly some good signs for the Eagles in that third term. They really need their leaders now to step up across the ground. This is the reason that Jack Graham, Liam Baker were brought into the team, even Matt Owes, who's got some experience playing in big games. They're going to need to look, the younger players are going to look to those players to really steady the ship so that this margin doesn't become a real big blowout, and some of the small wins that they had in that third term become insignificant by the end of the game. So some really positive signs. Hawthorn, again, this is a little bit of a training drill for them. I can't imagine that there's going to be too many review highlights that they'll go after during the end of the game leading into next week. It's a bit of go through the motion. So for them, they don't want to let their standards drop. They want to continue playing the way that they want to play, but certainly for the Eagles, they want to reduce this margin, eat into it by using some of the ball movement that we saw in that third term.
So, into the final term we go. Hawthorn by 37 points. I mentioned the chance to consolidate the top 8 spot. They actually could be 4th as well if they win by enough. In fact, they're at that point now. So, They may yet pile on more punishment for the West Coast Eagles. Fourth quarter underway. Meek wins it down there. Warple was being held there by Harley Reid. And it will be free kick. Hawthorn. I say it unsarcastically, but it sounds that way. Warple goes high inside forward 50. Running start in defence. It was Jimmy, but McGovern handled the feet and takes the intercept mark. The 5-time All-Australian comes beyond defensive 50. And now to find Hutchinson on the dockside wing.
It's one of those phrases. It sounds pejorative no matter which way it's uttered. Hutchinson to Dewar. He's got a just offensive side of centre in front of the West Coast interchange. No movement on their sub. Noah Long still unused. The boy from Echuca. Long kick up the line. Reaching up was Flynn. He or Reid could have raffled it. And big Matt Flynn has got the footy. 65 from home. Short presentation from Duggan. Looks him off. Drops it centrally inside the 50. Graham was the man in front of the pack for the Eagles. Impey takes it off hands. He's grabbed by Huff. And we will have a ball up 40 metres out from the West Coast goal. They kick to the Coventry end in this term, to which 7 goals 16 have been kicked so far. 12 goals 5 to the Lockett end to the left of your radio dial. At the stoppage, Cripps got it to Harley Reid. His handball blindly over his head, cut off by D'Ambrosio. High, looping, exiting kick. Moore runs across for Hawthorn, does well. Knocks it to Morrison. Now to Bailey McDonald. Handball back to Moore. He can work the city side wing.
He comes back inboard to find his skipper. Sicily marks. Just went the required 15. He's not had the best game, James Sicily. I mentioned that last week as well on Easter Monday. A couple of clangers. He copped the ball on the head in the first half. He goes long here down the line, up in front. Marrick intercepts at left half back for West Coast. Alexia Pesce on the boundary.
Tom Barras has switched to forward. So the interesting matchup now would be him against Jeremy McGovern, premiership teammates and best mates as well.
Okay. In they come here, West Coast, as Liam Baker.
That was terrible play by Sicily. Ball's moving quickly. He gets it. He just stands, takes his time. He had players running past for a handball. He ignored that one. He's got to get out of his own way.
Baker's wobbly kick picked up there by Warple, and now exploding late. They want it for the Hawthorn side. Their sub. McKenzie dispossessed. It's going to be a free kick here again as he was taken high. So on the outer side here at Docklands, Hawthorn bring the footy away. Cam McKenzie's been good so far this afternoon. Navior Chol is unguarded all by himself deep in the right forward pocket. And he takes the mark 35 out.
And that was McCubbin there. He's normally been playing on Gunston with Oscar Allen taking the bigger player, but they'd swapped on that occasion, and Brian McGovern got caught out.
Navior Chol with a couple of goals this afternoon. He might open up the angle here on the left foot snap. And he does. Wobbles across the face of goal. And tracking it back there. Gunston in the pocket. He attempts a snap from the opposite side and curls it around the veteran. Gunston's got 4. And he's approaching his career 500 as well. So he's got 498 and counting, while the Hawks extend their lead out to an equal game high 43 points. They're 13-14-92. The West Coast Eagles 7-7-49. We've played now 3.5 minutes in this final term. Sunday footy on ABC Sport. Karen Peterson and Nathan Burke.
Bit of a coach killer, that one, I reckon. Berkey just ball floats off a pretty awful kick from Chol on the left foot hook, but lands in the lap of Gunston, which it really should have been spoiled well across the boundary line, and no follow-up pressure. So Gunston, just off one step, was able to swing under absolutely no pressure whatsoever.
2 more for 500. At least that gives us something to be excited about.
And I'm reliably informed, Berkey, he'd be in illustrious company as the 66th person to do it, I think, something like that.
It's the milestone that they all crave, that's for sure. Hutchinson clears it out for the Eagles, coming back through Amon for the Hawks, turned over in the middle of the ground. Flynn gives it off, and now to Reid. Got it from Cripps, eyes the sticks, and sticks it through. 2 second-half goals for Harley Reid, and that brings a smattering of applause to the hands of the blue and gold faithful. 8-7-55. It's plays 13-14-92. We're 4.5 minutes into the final term. Let's go boundary side. Alexia Pesce.
The West Coast Eagles are going to make their sub, so Noah Long comes off, and it's Hamish Davis that is moved to the back of the bench.
There we go. Davis Debuted as the sub himself back in round 4 against the Giants. Now he's subbed out of the action here. By the way, I've sold Jack Gunston short. 65th all-time he'll be if he gets there tonight with his 500th goal. As West Coast get the immediate reply. 0437 774 774. Mikey and Bendigo is a big fan of the Peterson-Sprigg play-by-play combination. Thank you, Mikey. Mick says
He's a good man, Mikey.
Hawks goal kicking has been poor last 2 weeks. They should be capable of big win against the Eagles. Need plenty of goal kicking practice at training. I'm sure they will come up at some stage as they go forward of halfway here. The Hawks on half forward, trying to keep it alive. Ginnivan lays the tackle down there on Marrick. Umpire says, give it to me for a ball up. Hawks by 37 points here. 6 goal in final terms. Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
Meek reaches up. He's been the dominant ruck. Harley Reid at ground level. Gave it away, but it ricocheted back to Ginnivan, who kicks to full forward. Jimby's there to usher it across in front of Nick Watson. It'll be thrown back in, right forward pocket. Hawks deep into attack. Led by 7 at quarter time, 35 at half time, 37 at 3/4 time. So the Eagles went very close to winning their 3rd quarter of the season. Didn't quite get there. The late goal from Jack Gunston scuppered their chances. Hawks inside forward 50 here. Meek lays it down beautifully for Warple. Hands it off to Newcomb. Whips it around the body and finishes in style. That is sharp stoppage work from Hawthorn. And they creep closer to cracking the ton. 14-14-98 to West Coast 8-7-55. 6.5 gone. Final term, your experts on ABC Sport, Kes Peterson and Nathan Burke.
It's been a real team effort from the Hawthorn midfield today. It hasn't really been a standout. Henry Huswaite had an outstanding 3rd quarter with 11 possessions to get himself up to 21, which is the equal or second most amongst all Hawthorn players. He spent the first part of this last quarter, the first 7 minutes on the bench, just coming onto the field now with Newcomb coming off. But it's a great sign for the Hawthorn midfield that they don't rely on somebody like a Nick Dacos to get 35, 36. They'll all get their 25 and they'll all be really effective.
Margin 43. Hawthorn in control. Hunting a spot in the top 4 to close the round. Meek wins it down here. Tap forward by Josh Ward. Meek combines with the sub. McDonald are now bursting away as Watson out of the middle. There's a hand pass back here to Jarman Impey. Floats it back to the Wizard. Forward of halfway, and the chain by hand. There's a sub again. Back to Impey. Finds just enough space to kick inside 50, but it's chopped off there by Brady Hoff. He marks 40 out from defensive goal. Gives it on to Marrick, who can just rebound, but his kick is a turnover. It goes straight down the throat of Blake Hardwick.
He's been swung back in this quarter with Barris going forward. Finds Watson on the edge of the 50, who turns inside, bursts away, chips it to full forward. Connor McDonald ran into Jinby, who approached at a rate of knots. And Jinby brings the play to a stop. 25 out from the Hawthorn goal. 43 points to the margin, 8 gone final term. Meek slaps it clear. McGovern does the roving. Handball to Reid, leaves the ground as he hand passes to Huff, and now to Baker, who had more diving across the kick. Got the smother. Now it's in the hands of Hawthorn once more, and Ward can't straighten up on the run. He misses to the left-hand side, the man who's out of contract at the year's end. 14-15-99, plays 8-7-55, 44 points to the margin, 9 gone in the last.
McGovern plays on from the kick in, as long to the outer side, marked by Owies, the former Blue. Comes back inboard to find Cole, one of their 3 inclusions this week. The Premiership defender. A wide, long angled kick to Oscar Allen. Marks just forward of halfway. On in turn to Williams. Draws the player. Hand pass on to Hutchinson. Closes 40 out. Balances up here, but nowhere near enough. It's out of bounds on the full. He looks so sure of himself too, Jack Hutchinson. But yes, no score there. Hawthorn 14-15-99. West Coast 8-7-55. 10 gone final terms. Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
It's one where the left peg was required and the left peg was not present. Ward inside defensive 50 for the Hawks. Dashes away. It's across the defensive arc and finds Weddle. Marks on the paint of the defensive 50. Loops the kick over the top now for Cam McKenzie, who lets it settle in front of him. Grabbed by Baker, gives him the fend off. Cuts in field, kicks to the edge of the 50. Jimby rises, can't mark. Marrick's there to mop up to Reed, who fends off. And he actually got caught high in the end by James Warple. So Harley Reid, who's kicked 2 goals in this second half, but really struggled to make any other impact on the game. Comes out wide to McGovern, and now to Hunt, who's got it right on halfway. Hawks by 44. 10 minutes gone in the last quarter on ABC Sport.
Hunt wheels and goes now off that right peg, deep inside forward 50. Waterman's outnumbered down there. A big grab, Hardwick not paid. Mopped up there, Battle, and now Ward involved. They'll rebound the ball, the Hawks, from left half back. His kick though goes straight to Matt Flynn. Time from Josh Battle. Flynn finds Hunt, loads up, back inside the 50 here. Clean look from Williams, goes through his hands. Collected down there by Josh Ward. Waits the hand pass across here for Dylan Moore. Back to Ginnivan. From right half back this time, along the outer side. Finds Morrison. That's his godfather, Ken Judge. Coached both of these sides. Harry Morrison. Back here. Newcomb's kick coming wide. Back to Warple. The Hawks can link it up by hand here. McDonald goes inside forward 50. No one's there except Oscar Allen. He rebounds the ball for West Coast. Now with his fellow co-captain Duggan. Now back to Allen.
Allen, he comes away clearly. Sends it out wide. Noah Long, the activated substitute for the Eagles. Darts the kick inside the forward 50 at the feet of Williams. Nice gather. Now away to Owies. Little ball. Gets inside. Kicks to full forward. Cripps reaching up. Brings it down. Hardwick's there. Tackled by Cripps. Dropped it in the tackle. Didn't get rid of it legally. Caught holding the ball. Great stuff from the veteran Eagle. Jamie Cripps will earn himself a set shot. 30 from home in the left forward pocket.
Yeah, well done by Cripps, because he came at James Sicily and didn't give away a free kick for front on contact. He had his eyes on the footy, brought the ball to ground and then followed up with a really good tackle. So deserves a goal here for 2 good efforts.
7th game of the season for Jamie Cripps. He's kicked 7 goals. Hasn't got one today. He eases that one around the corner and finishes very nicely indeed. Margin back to 38 points. The Eagles 9-7-61, Hawthorn 14-15-99. 12.5 minutes gone, final term. They've threatened a few times the Hawks. They just haven't been able to really break it open today.
Must have closed those doors down there, I reckon, Berkey. Finally, we got some goals at that end of the ground, but spoke at 3/4 time just about the leaders for the Eagles needing to stand up and make sure that this margin doesn't blow out, making those insignificant little, the little wins they had in the third term insignificant. And that's a great example of Jamie Cripps doing just that late in the game. I'm sure that there's some fatigued bodies out there. Result if the game is well and truly over, but to see those sort of efforts from your senior players and then to go back and finish is a great effort.
They've won just 2 of soon to be 28 quarters this season. They're down -1 in this one, so can they at least finish with a slight win here, West Coast, and win the quarter? Hawthorn win the clearance here. Hand pass comes to Josh Ward. Evades traffic. Works it on forward here towards Scholl. He's 60 from goal. Ginnivan now runs into Duggan. Heavy contact on both players there. Loose footy now with Tom Cole for West Coast. Rebounds them quickly. Right foot kick to the outer side. And Morrison, second bite, who's paid the grab on the outer logo. That was a big collision there from Duggan and Ginnivan. Hawthorn keep possession and a 38-point lead here. 14 gone final terms. Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
Had every game so far this season. Harry Morrison, 25 across the previous 2 years combined. So he's right on the fringes of this Hawthorn team for a long time, but late last year into this year, the man from Benalla has worked his way into the thick of it. Nice kick across the defensive 50 from Huswaite.
He's gone back. Sorry, mate. He's gone back into the half-back line now. So Sam Mitchell just sort of throwing the magnets around a little bit with Hardwick back as well.
Hardwick goes long up the line. Reaching in from the side is Weddle. Again, he just floats across the front of the pack. Scholl makes a presentation. The kick goes to the pocket. Gunston, the target. Was there some holding on? Yes, there was. Free kick to Jack Gunston as he closes ever more on goal 500.
I wonder when he was kicking goal number 98. Is he going around the corner or doing a drop punt from here?
30 metres out, around the body, misses. So he stays on 4.98 for now, does Jack Gunston. But he's had a good afternoon. 4 goals, 2 from his 11 disposals. And the Hawks raise the bat. 14-16-100 to 9-7-61 halfway through the last.
He's certainly one player that's transversed that whole drop punt for every set shot to now around the corner, and he's evolved with it.
Short chain of kicks, West Coast. Baker finds Cole. Just keep thinking, if I told you a year ago that Hawthorn's Tom Barras were lining up on Oscar Allen at full forward for Hawthorn, Allen at full back for West Coast, I think I was crazy. You may still think I'm crazy, which is fair enough, but that alone is unusual. Flynn down the line here for West Coast, towards half forward. Ryan crashes the pack. Dewar at the bottom there. Had it stripped there away by Hardwick. A hand pass on here. A little nudge there from Flynn on Morrison. McGovern can't keep it alive up against the benches. And they'll throw it back in on the commentary side. The dock side of this old stadium, which we call Docklands. Hawthorn leads by 39 points. 14-16 plays 9-7. 16 gone final terms. Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
I think Sam Mitchell's put him down there just to chat to him during the game. Hey mate, you could be playing in this spot next year. Full forward for Hawks if you want.
Overtures might be continuing during the play. Ginnivan and Harley Reid come close at the stoppage. Weddle steps through. It's around Reid. Handball away to Newcomb along the boundary line broadcast side. Now to Ward. Ward's kick to half forward. Connor McDonald. He comes sauntering in. Got dealt with after he took the mark. Marrick gave him one across the shoulder and gives away a rather soft 50-metre penalty. That'll see Connor McDonald waltz to the goal line, having kicked 3 behinds all day and not looked like it. He'd have to fall over to miss this.
He played it well. He laid down like he'd just been shot. Now by said, oh yes, you must have been hit.
And Connor McDonald finds his range from close in. 1 goal, 3 for the afternoon for the Hawks live wire half forward. And that Hawthorn lead now out to a new game high, 45 points. 15-16, 106 to 9-7-61. 17 gone, final turn. Kes Peterson and Nathan Burke, your experts on ABC Sport.
Well, it's the 11th goal kicker for Hawthorn today, and it speaks to your point you made before, Berkey, about just spreading the load through the midfield. You know, you're not relying on anyone to have 35 and kick 3 to get them across the line. They're spreading the load, and they're certainly doing that with their scoring opportunities as well. A lot of their midfielders are pushing forward and kicking goals. We saw Newcomb and Warple and the likes go forward, but again, it's Watson and McDonald as well that have done the damage up forward. So a really nice place to be for Hawthorn and their coaching staff at the moment.
Hawthorn will sit, on my calculations, inside the top 4 tonight with this win. It stays around this mark. Hewitt, hand pass back here to Huff. West Coast win the clearance. High inside forward 50. Reaching Archer Reid. Second bite, pulls it in. And he'll take his kick from 40 out. Slight angle right of centre.
And this is what West Coast supporters want to see. I want to see a bit of the future, a glimpse of what is going to come. This fella, he's a bit of a beanpole at the moment. He's going to fill out, he's going to get stronger, but we've seen him do some technically good things, like take that contested mark, but also seen him do some smart things and just tap the ball out in front of his teammate for goals as well. So this is certainly heartwarming for the West Coast supporters.
I think it's his brother Zach last week on Good Friday. Archer Reid just slews off the right side of his boot, and it's a minus score. West Coast 9-8-62, Hawthorn 15-16, 106. 19 going final term. That's a few of your texts shortly. 0437 774 774 as we bring AFL round 7 to a close.
Hardwick waltzes in from full-back. He had to think about it before he delivered it to Battle. It just slipped through the arms of Josh Battle and out for a throw-in. So you speak about it, Burke, even last week, Archer Reid, 6 disposals, quiet game, 1 mark, but he laid 4 tackles inside the forward 50. So that kind of development is all you can ask for as a supporter.
Yeah, absolutely. He's not going to come in and start doing a Sam Darcy and kicking 3-4 goals a game. He's not that quiet a player, and he's not that experienced. So those glimpses are what you want to see.
All the West Coast Eagles fans want is for Reid to play well, and it doesn't matter which one. At the stoppage, Duggan's camped on top of it. He's dragged down by Newcomb. 2 very hard heads going into close combat. They'll have it tossed up across the forward 50 here for the Eagles. Meek stands in front of Flynn. McKenzie grabbed by a couple of Eagles. Huff in there immediately on the tackle. And again, right on the blue paint of the 50 at the Coventry end here at Docklands. We'll have a toss to loft.
About to hit time on here in this final quarter. Meek wins it to the outside. Hewitt meets somebody on contact. Moore goes in hard as well. Huff brings him down. He'll ball it up.
Just on the ladder too, Spriggy, you're right. There'll be a game clear in fourth Hawthorn.
Wow.
So 5 and 2 on the season. Adelaide 4 and 3 in fifth.
Up it goes. One down here for Newcomb. Turns out of a tackle. Follow-up hand pass as Meek tumbles his kick down the line. McGovern in the contest with Cho. Out of bounds for a throw-in. Off the SMS. Great commentary from the Petersons and co. It's Max from Yale loving the call. Great to hear a big Hawks performance, says Anders in Porto, Portugal. Now we just have to win the big ones, unlike the last two. Coming off 2 losses in big occasions. The gather-round closing ceremony, Easter Monday last week. The Hawks back on the winners list here against the lowly West Coast Eagles. Harley Reid out of the traffic, kicks inside forward 50. Cripps taps on here towards Archer Reid, and his kick hugs the boundary line. It is marked down there by Noah Long, deep in the right forward pocket. Hawthorn fans suspect it was out of bounds. Just give him this one, for goodness sake. Come on, it's, 44 points. Long opens up the angle, left foot snap, not quite there. Ryan bursts through, he slams it through for his 3rd goal. Now it was well read off the pack. He was front and centre in that goal square, and Liam Ryan's 3rd goal. It's all in consolation here for West Coast for the time being. Still 38 points the Hawthorn lead. Hawthorn 15, 1606 to the West Coast Eagles 10, 868. Crowd here, by the way, 26,425. That does surpass expectations. Alexia Pesce on the boundary.
Carl Amon has also come off. He is concussed, confirmed by the Hawthorn Footy Club. 2 concussions.
So Jack Scrimshaw was subbed out earlier, and now Carl Amon also has failed an HIA.
It's been in good form too. Carl Amon, who was judged best to ground last week for Hawks, so that'll be unfortunately miss a game or 2.
Yeah, it's probably why they've got Hardwick and Huswaite down there saying, okay, Amon's out for the next couple of weeks. Who's going to be that small defender?
38 points the margin, but only 1 point the difference in this quarter. So West Coast looking for a 3rd quarter win of the season. And socket forward here. This might be a miracle goal. How has that been created inside the forward 50? It's Noah Long again, who just tracked it forward. He was just hoping to create some territory toward goal. He threw his boot at it, and it's rolled straight at the right-hand goalpost, taken a hook turn and gone through. So that margin's back to 32 points, and the Eagles are 5 points clear for the quarter. 106 plays 74, and that happened very, very quickly for West Coast.
Yeah, well, Luke, we spoke to Luke Shuey before the game, and he was sort of saying, yeah, we're looking for those little wins and things that we can celebrate. So if they can come away from this game winning the last quarter, they're in front now, and if they can kick another couple, that'll certainly get them on the plane happier than if they didn't win a quarter or show anything special. So they finished the game off really well because there's potential there for this to really blow out.
Wayward bounce to restart. That's a 7th different goal kicker then for the West Coast Eagles, the sub Noah Long. Umpire balls it up. They win the clearance. Hewitt fires the hand pass. Back to Flynn. Tracks it back towards half-back, and now Baker onto Cole. He's unimpeded. Left foot kick down the line. Hutchinson has been busy across this game for the West Coast Eagles. Yet to play in a win, as a few of them are. Goes inside forward 50. Up in front, down there in the defensive work was Hardwick in front of Williams, and now in the pocket the ball bounces over the boundary line for a throw-in. So stoppage inside 50 for the Eagles at the Coventry end. And they trail here by 32 points. We've gone now 24 minutes in this final term. Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
I think Jack Williams coming off with the blood rule, got a little bit of claret above the eye. So he's going to make the long trudge from the left forward pocket all the way to the wing to be replaced by Archer Reid. Meantime, Flynn and Meek will renew their battle. stand side by side inside forward 50. Play waits for Archer Reid to run back down. 32 points the margin. It was 37 at three-quarter time. So the Eagles so far this season are 2-25 in terms of their win-loss in single quarters. Both of the quarters they've won have come in the first quarter of games. Meek got it down to Newcomb, to McKenzie. High kick up and down inside the defensive 50. Tom Cole spilt it. Almost an uncontested chance in the end. Eagles keep possession. Kick around the body from Hunt towards Ryan. Battle reaches over the top. He's been terrific this afternoon for Hawthorn, closing in on career high as far as disposals concerned, 27, so one shy of his equal best. Josh Battle, ball out again, so left forward pocket, Eagles in attack, margin 32 points the way of Hawthorn. Will have it tossed back in at the 25.5 minute mark of the last.
Back in it comes. Meek and Flynn tangle up. Ryan waiting for it. Harley Reid snaps quickly, and it's right across the face, out of bounds on the full. No change to that 32-point deficit, which West Coast find themselves on the wrong end of.
They're peppering away here, keeping the ball in their forward half, which is good. Minnie McGuald will be able to show some really good defensive setups, which got those repeat entries.
Hardwick drives it outside the defensive 50 for the Hawks. Newcomb on his backside, flicks the handball up to Connor McDonald. Off to D'Ambrosio, low left foot kick up the line. McGovern did well to corral the footy. Handball off to Baker, to Cole, to Hewitt falling down under pressure. They turn it over. Ward grabbed it. He was pounced upon immediately by Tom Cole. In fact, it's Graham there who was in on the tackle. Free kick to Ward and the Hawks. Goes inside forward 50, kicks it at the feet of Ginnivan. He can't collect it. Dewar goes off the ground, doesn't gain much territory, still at half back for the Eagles. Hacking it forward was Battle. Dewar's grabbed by Battle and by Ginnivan. And we'll have a ball up on the numbers of the 50. Right half forward for the Hawks. They lead by 32. 4.5 to play here on ABC Sports Sunday Footy.
Up it goes. Meek arrives to it. Wins it down here. Newcomb. Left foot snap inside 50. Allen parked under it, so too McGovern. Fires the hand pass away there for Cole. And now Baker goes blitzing off half back. Making the contest coming in there. Impey on Owies. And now tracked back by D'Ambrosio. Neat left foot kick across the boundary line here as they go on from McDonald to Gunson. He's 55 out. Opts to go to the hot spot now. Joel with a simple lead. Marks it full forward. 25 out directly in front.
Well, Oscar Allen, if he's going to play in the back line, he needs to say to himself, where would I like my defender? And in that case, he'd probably say, I'd like my defender to stand right behind me and let me lead straight at the football, because that's exactly what he gave Mabior Chol. Stood behind him, let him lead straight at the football, and a big fella like that, no matter how tall you are behind, you're not going to reach over the top of him.
Still lining up for that third goal, Mabior Chol. So you got so far 2 goals, 2. Make that 3 goals, 2. Extend the Hawthorn lead again. They are in front, both on the scoreboard overall and indeed for this final quarter. So Hawthorn 16, 1,612 to West Coast, 11,874, margin 38. Crowd 26,500. Sunday Footy on ABC Sport. Your experts are Karen Peterson and Nathan Burke.
I could offer Oscar Allen a slight excuse on that one. I was watching Mabior Chol and I was waiting for a moment to come in and say it. Mabior Chol's been limping around, I reckon, for the last 5 or 6 minutes. He's got some sort of taping or bandage around his sort of left upper calf area. And as that play was unfolding, he was out here about 60 out from goal stretching, allowing Oscar Allen to play as a loose defender inside Hawthorn's forward 50. And so may not have expected Mabior Chol to jump back at that one, but
Fell for the old two
well played.
The old limp. Oh no, I've got a sore leg, and whoosh, away I go.
Oldest trick in the book. If you're worth your salt as a defender, you're not falling for that, are you? Surely. Back in the middle, Harley Reid got it away to Hutchinson. Now Meek barrels into Duggan. That was good, tough stuff between the two. And Duggan never taking a backward step.
Kez, you'd be pushing the bloke over if he had a sore leg, not falling for it.
Ball tossed in, or tossed up, I should say. Flynn for the Eagles. McKenzie there for the Hawks. Hustwaite awkwardly off the back foot. chops it out to half-back. Marek had a hold of Gunston. A couple of players ran through the mark there. Jack Gunston just defensive side of halfway. Tries to kick along the boundary line. Puts a little bit too much on it, out of bounds on the full. So 38 points is the margin. It was 37 at three-quarter time. The Eagles are within striking distance of their third winning quarter of the season, but they've got some work to do.
Hunt kicks for distance down the members' wing. Up in front, Orderman in the contest with Sicily, and now Weddle is wrapped up down there as well. We're a happy team at Hawthorn, says Kate from Canungra in Queensland. 0437 774 774. We'll wrap things up here at Docklands. A full time upon us shortly. Gunston off here to Watson. The Wizard has room to bounce. Now a second bounce. Down that wing, he's still blazing away. Now a third bounce for Watson. Duggan's chasing him. Now the fourth bounce. Draws a player on to Ginnivan. Wide to Chol. He's 52 out. Pops it inside 50. Connor McDonald marks. Oh, that was a good run. Good dash from Nick Watson. And it may end here with another goal for Connor McDonald.
Bit going on there between Watson and McGovern.
So McGovern helped him up, and then Watson basically said, "Mate, what is that about?"
Yeah, gave him a mouthful. Like he deserved.
After Jeremy McGovern gave him a shoulder full.
Yeah. Well, what was he going to let you do? Just let you run past? No, you ran straight into him. He picked you up. Be thankful.
Connor McDonald, 1 goal 3 last week. Here he is for his second against the Eagles here today. And then they push that lead back out beyond 40. Hawthorn by 44. 17, 16, 118. The Eagles 11-8, 74. 31 and a half gone in the final term. Sunday footy on ABC Sport. Nathan Burke and Karen Peterson.
Yeah, there was nothing in that from McGovern. It was just a hip and shoulder as he released the ball. And Watson didn't like the treatment, but it's all part of the game, that one. So another good finish by McDonald. Didn't have his kicking boots on early, but I think he's finished, 2 goals. Did I hear that right?
2-3.
2-3, so unfortunately for him, he's contributed to the inaccuracy of Hawthorn today, but I think for the first time they've got themselves to a positive ledger.
Yes.
17-16.
Yeah.
So not one of their finest efforts in front of goal today, but they've certainly got the result and they've won them back.
So after 2-8 at quarter time, as Kes said, they've found themselves in front of the game. Clearing kick out of the middle for the Hawks. Target is Chol. McGovern lost it. Handball from McDonald. That was Connor McDonald to McGovern. He clean dropped it inside the defensive 50. Then had to lay a sprawling tackle that was a little bit low. And it'll be a free kick to the Hawks in the right forward pocket to Jack Ginnivan. So he's tangled with both of the rascals up front for the Hawks in the last couple of moments. And Ginnivan will have a kick of 20 metres, should go around the body and kick his second on return to the senior team. Just puts the mouthguard in the sock as he stands side on to the goals, 25 from home, slightly to the right. Spins the Sherrin in his hands, wait for his moment to strike and pop it through for number 18 for the Hawks. 50-point ball game. It's got away from the Eagles late with the Hawks kicking the last 3 of the match. 18-16, 1-2-4, plays 11-8, 74. We've gone 33 minutes now in this final term. The Eagles having kicked 4 goals in this quarter, the Hawks having 6.
Why do these games always go 35-minute quarters, Kes? They always seem to. Feel a bit sorry for the Eagles. They've tried really hard. They got themselves in front, winning this quarter. It's just been the last 3 minutes, 3 goals, which has pumped it out to 50 points. Probably deserves to be a 50-point lead because the Hawks were wasteful early, but I feel a little bit sorry for the Eagles. They've tried really, really hard, just been outclassed.
We start back in the middle. Clearance here through Huff. Bobbles inside forward 50. It missed Liam Ryan. Tapped on by Archer Reid. Socket away there by Josh Battle on the last line. Hawks defenders rush back. They're outnumbering West Coast here. Ryan suckers to advantage, or so it seemed. Gathered by Warple. Back here again for Hawthorn, who can clear the area. It comes beyond defensive 50. McGovern's out after it. Hacked forward by Ginnivan. Chell still chasing with 5 seconds left. Chell gathers. He's wrapped up, and that will be it. Hawthorn will be back on the winners list with a stoppage here inside 50. The Hawks back on the winners list and back in the top 4. It could have been slicker, but they do get the win and plunge West Coast further into the mire of their worst era. The Hawks by 50.
We love our club and we play to win. Riding the bumps with a grin and Hawthorn. Come on, may you find us riding. Teamwork is the thing that calls. One for all and all for one, the way we play it more. We are the mighty, mighty Hawks.
The Hawks led by 7 points at the first change, quarter time. They had 2 goals, 8 at that stage. It was a woefully inaccurate game for much of the afternoon here at Docklands. 35 points the half-time margin in their favour. 37 points at three-quarter time. We thought West Coast might just pull it back for a quarter win, a rare quarter win, but Hawthorn in the end win it by a record margin today. 50 points in the end. 18-16-124, 11-8-74 West Coast.
We're a happy team at Hawthorn. We're the mighty, mighty Hawks. We love our club and we play to win. Riding the bumps with a grin at Hawthorn. Come on, may you find us riding. Teamwork is the thing that talks. One for all and all for one's the way we play at Hawthorn.
After having their colours lowered in big occasions, back-to-back weekends, Hawthorn are back on the winners list and flex their premiership muscle once again. 5 wins now for Sam Mitchell's men. Today, they witnessed 11 different goal kickers. We saw 4 for Jack Gunston, 3 for Mabior Chol, 2 for Conor McDonald, and also Jack Ginnivan. Singles to Morrison, Newcomb, Warple, Moore, Hardwick, Josh Weddle, and Nick Watson as well. While for the West Coast Eagles, 3 goals in the end for Liam Ryan, 2 for Jake Waterman and Harley Reid, both in that second half for Harley Reid. Singles for Noah Long, Jamie Cripps, Matt Owies and Jack Williams. Your experts here on ABC Sport to wrap up the final game of round 7. Hall of Famer Nathan Burke and Carlton captain Karen Peterson.
It was a nice little handball there from Burkey. Thank you very much. Yeah, look, Hawthorn did today what they needed to do. I think they will not be overly thrilled with their inaccuracy in front of goal. That's for the second week in a row. So something that they'll need to address. What they will be happy with is their method going inside forward 50, and that certainly showed. In terms of the marks, I think it's 23 to not very many for West Coast. So the method going inside forward 50 was really slick from Hawthorn today. Their transition across the back line wasn't as dynamic as perhaps what we've come to know of the way that they move the ball, but they were still able to get the job done and in a way, withstand some of the changes in momentum that West Coast were able to throw at them. They had some really impressive performances. Josh Battle across the half-back line had 29 touches. Hustwaite, who came in for his first game for the year, Berkey talked about a couple of times throughout the call. He had 24 touches, particularly that third term. He was really good. And Warple went about his business in the middle of the ground, 24 touches and kicked a goal as well. James Sisley's the interesting one. He's really sort of poor form has continued. He finished today with 23 touches, and at one point, I think towards the late end of the fourth term, he had 9 intercept possessions and led the game, but it really wasn't worth highlighting, to be honest. Some of his decision-making in terms of his kicking and his ability to move the ball off the half-back line is really unusual for him. We're seeing him fumble some marks that he would ordinarily fly across the front of the pack and take really strongly. So whilst they're winning and they're inside the top 4, which is a great return for Hawthorn to begin the season, they've still got some room to grow in terms of some players in form, but also just the way that they're able to consistently back up week to week. I think the most pleasing thing, and Spriggy mentioned it off the top, was the ability for them to have 11 11 individual goal kickers. They probably could have had a few more given they finished the game 18-16 in terms of their inaccuracy in front of goal. So a really, really good performance, solid performance, even though it wasn't full of highlights. And for West Coast, unfortunately, the train rolls on. They'll take some small wins away from today like they did last week. But, yeah, boy, they've got a lot of work to do to bridge the gap and be really competitive in these games, Berkey.
Yeah, just looking at the stats to see how the game was played, Hawthorn had 393 possessions, which was 81 more than West Coast had, yet they only went inside 56 more times. The real difference was that they scored 34 times, and there was a couple of times where they kicked out on the full and were short. So let's call it 36 shots out of 56 entries. That was probably the real difference in the end, just their ability to put their hard work on the scoreboard. They won't like the fact that they had 81 more possessions and only went inside 56 more times. Something was going a little bit amiss there, overusing the ball through the middle a little bit. They weren't super clean coming out of the back line, and you mentioned James Sicily there. He looked like he cracked the sads there a couple of times and just booted it out of there, and big mongrel punch into the middle of the ground. It wasn't as clean exit football that we normally see from Hawthorn, and probably give a little bit of credit there to the West Coast Eagles forwards who put them under pressure throughout the day. So Sam Mitchell will be happy. He'll be happy they kicked 124 points and they won by 50 points. But when you think about it, that's probably not going to cut it against the really good teams. That sort of bit of a sloppy display today as well, which is why I reckon they had those extra 81 possessions, because they were a little bit sloppy. They weren't the slick, really polished Hawthorn that we come to expect.
It's kind of what we've seen from them so far this season too, a little bit. I think Sam Mitchell will be pretty pleased that his team were able to get a couple late, because that was slipping away from them a little bit, and he would have been pretty dirty on that had they only won by sort of 5 goals, which is what it looked like it would be. So 23 marks inside forward, 50-6 was the final tally as far as that stat went. West Coast got those centre clearances all the way back to 15-12. I think it was 10-2 at one stage, so they did a much better job of that in the second half. And Josh Battle just on his 29 disposals, so that's a new career high for him. Of course, first year at the Hawks, 7 score involvements, 7 contested possessions, 7 marks as well for him. But a good day for the free agent signing in the brown and gold.
And they make their way off Docklands here. Their adoring fans clap them in, heading Alexia Pesce's way very shortly in the winners' rooms. Hawthorn, 5 wins and 2 losses now on the year, back in the top 4. And as we mentioned, with this win, 50 points. They're good over the West Coast Eagles, 18-16 to 11-8. And there was a nice bit of applause there for James Sicily, despite the fact it wasn't his best game. Wasn't last week either, but he leads his team down the tunnel and into the Hawthorn rooms. Lex, come in.
Hello, guys. It's a nice round of applause for them to come into.
It's all for
Lots
you.
of family and friends. Yeah, I actually was thinking, hey, guys, is that for me? I've just got here. What's that about?
This will be a really flat song, I reckon.
No, come on. There's no wind down here.
You might need to help them out a little bit.
Okay, I'll keep the microphone close to myself.
No, sing along.
That won't be happening, I can assure you that. All right, here we go.
We play to win, right in the bus with the green and Hawthorn. Come on, mate, let us try. Teamwork is a thing that talks more. 3, 2, 1, we're all in for one. Where we are, Hawthorn. We are the mighty fighting Hawks.
I mean, they look happy.
I don't know the
but
words.
It did sound a bit flat, didn't it?
What's that on the gusto meter, Berkey? What are you going to give that?
2 out of 10.
2 out of 10.
Yep,
all right.
that was just job done. On to next week.
Back to Alexia very shortly with a winner in the Hawthorn rooms. 50 points they were over the West Coast Eagles in the air. And as you say, Josh Battle, a career high, 29 disposals for the Hawks. So we'll get back in there very, very soon. Your text remain welcome, 0437 774 774 as we wrap things up here. To wrap up AFL round 7. That McGovern and Nick Watson thing, is there anything to worry about there for Jeremy McGovern, do you think?
Oh, I mean, who knows? Really, we sort of thought the same thing about the one last night. It didn't look great first glimpse. Watson obviously got up. He wasn't too happy with the treatment, but the ball looked like it was gone, and McGovern elected to bump. But then you get into force and impact and all that kind of to run it through the matrix. So
yeah, body will be fine. The only issue is whether it got him in the head. And so what they'll do is they will send a Hawthorn a message to say, can we have a medical report from that incident? And their doctor will say he got a bruising down the front and absolutely nothing to the head. So that means that the match review officer cannot say high contact.
Right, so that's the key thing. But he got him quite high, though. That's
but it depends.
Determine the actual impact area of the...
The impact area will be determined by the doctor's medical report. And, if it's not high, then it's fine.
Okay, Hawthorn 50-point winners here at Docklands to close round 7. Earlier, it was Gold Coast by 38 over the Sydney Swans at Carrara. And at the MCG, it was Carlton by 18 points over Geelong. So 3 straight wins now for them. Crowd here, by the way, 26,425. Hawthorn's only home game here at Docklands this year. And one of just 2 games here all up. Let's head back into the winners' rooms. Alexia Pesha.
Thanks, guys. I'm with Josh Battle. Josh, thanks for your time. Congratulations on the win. Firstly, 29 disposals for you, a career high. How must that feel?
Yeah, it was good. I mean, good to get back on the winners list. And then, that's just sort of a byproduct of the game. Sometimes you can get your hands on it, other times you don't. But, it was good to get a win.
I know that you and Tom Brassey's behind us at the moment are quite good friends. He comes up against his old side. He's always a very calm head, but did you have a word to him this week? It'd be amiss of us not to ask you about it. How do you deal with that?
He's definitely, as you said, he's very calm and, leading into the game, you wouldn't really know he was against his old opposition. I thought he was outstanding today and, he's a great leader for the footy club and he's a great role model for everyone around him.
And then Sam Mitchell all of a sudden swings him forward. Now he's a forward. Was that planned or where'd that come from?
I think sometimes he'll train down there a little bit. He's great in the contest, can take a great mark. So we were just trying to get the ball to him in the end there, but he couldn't get one.
Berkey and Kez, I'll leave it with you.
Josh, Nathan Burke here, mate. Well done today, mate.
Hey, Berkey. Thanks, mate.
Excellent work. Why aren't you back at the Saints? No, I won't go there. Good on you. Playing some really, really good football. It just seems like today we judged the song, the enthusiasm in the song. It was a workmanlike effort. It wasn't a game where you're going to go back to the club and go, hey, we absolutely nailed everything. But you know what? We got the job done. Is that how it felt?
Yeah, definitely. I think we dropped some of the standards in the end there, and some of our execution, me included, turned the ball over a little bit. So that was disappointing. But I'm sure we'll review it, get back to what makes us a good side, and look forward to Richmond next week.
Sorry, I'm handballing the Kez, but...
You are handballing, hello.
She doesn't know how to turn a microphone on.
I'm having a bit of an execution issue up here myself. Congratulations on the win. I'm keen to understand, you probably haven't had Mitch's message post-game yet, but what was his message at half-time, three-quarter time? Some of those sort of skill errors, the execution errors that are a little bit sloppy throughout the game. What was his message at three-quarter time leading into the fourth term?
Just get back to what makes us a good footy team. He doesn't touch too much on the skill errors because, that's a byproduct of the game sometimes, and skill errors happen. But, I think just around effort, standard piece, and just getting after the opposition. We know when we're at our best, we're putting pressure on the opposition and trying to set the game up in our front half.
We spoke up here throughout the call as well, just the spread of the load through particularly the midfield, and I know you guys down back as well with, Sicily and yourself, but 11 individual goal kickers today, spread of possessions through the midfield. How does that play out during the week? Like, is it something that you guys really want to go after? You don't have the one dominant midfielder who has 35 and kicks 3. Talk to us about the strength of Hawthorn and I suppose the spread across the board.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're very. That's the thing. Like, each game will have different goal scorers that pop up. So, being able to play all different roles is crucial for our team. And as you see, Huss comes in, plays his role. Today, I thought he was really good. So, just different guys executing their roles is a real strength for us.
Hawthorn's Josh Battle with us after a 50-point win and a career best 29 disposals for him. Josh, Jack Gunston up the other end of the ground, 4 goals, so 5 games for him so far this year. 2-2, 6-3-4. He's travelling all right, the veteran, isn't he? Is he getting better?
Mate, he has turned the clock back, aging like a fine wine. He's been really good. Obviously had a decorated career, but just coming in and seeing the way that he's a role model for the younger guys, and he gives so much away, and just wants to make everyone around him really good. So yeah, he's an outstanding teammate.
Your role in this Hawthorn team, is it different to what you were doing at St Kilda? What kind of things have you had to adjust to?
Yeah, it has been a fair bit different. I mean, each week it's different. Whether some guys I'll play a lockdown role, and then I think today I was freed up a little bit. But yeah, it's kind of week to week. See what opposition we play, and we all play different roles down there. So yeah, I think it's a week to week thing.
And of course, so much of the talk has been about off field between these two teams over the course of this season. Did you wander over to Oscar Allen and have a whisper in his ear?
No, mate, I didn't. I'll leave that to him, mate.
Josh, a few cultural things about the club which we observed from the outside. Jack Ginnivan goes in the VFL last week. He responds beautifully and was even better as well today, wasn't he? What did you make of his game? Yeah, I mean, Guinea's really good. He's someone that I come into the club and, the outside world and the expectation on him, but the way he goes about it Monday to Friday, he's so professional, and he's really surprised me in, his game nous, and just the way that, he goes about it week to week is, I definitely had confidence that he'd come back in and perform. And not to make a negative thing out of it, but obviously James Sicily, your skipper, is not playing the sort of footy he would like to be at the moment. He had a few occasions today as well, a bit like last week. But as a leader of this group, what is his value on those days where things aren't going so well for him, and what do you do as teammates to get around him? Sis is a gun, and he had an off day last week. He's a star, and everything he does Monday to Friday is he's a real pro. So yeah, no doubt that you can have them days occasionally, but he's a terrific player, and we know that he's a great leader for the footy club as well. You're back at the G next week, as you said, against Richmond on Sunday. You don't play here too often. I suppose you did at the Saints during your time there, Josh. But do you like playing at Docklands? Only a couple of games here this year for the Hawks. Mate, I was pumped to get back here. I mean, it's pretty good. When it's raining outside, you can drive in knowing that pretty much what you're going to get. The conditions are always pretty good here. So, but yeah, definitely love the G as well. The home of footy. It's pretty cool. Well played today. Appreciate your time on ABC Sport. No worries. Thanks, guys. Josh Battle with us in the Hawthorn rooms. 50 points, that margin over the West Coast Eagles. The final game of round 7. You're with Brett Sprigg, Joel Peterson, Karen Peterson, Nathan Burke, and thanks to Alexia Pesce there in the Hawthorn rooms. We'll get the 3-2-1s very shortly. Just to recap a few things that happened. The subs were made. Jack Scrimshaw was out with concussion. That was shortly after half-time, so that did bring Bailey McDonald into the game for Hawthorn. And then Carl Amon also suffering a concussion quite late in the game. So a couple of things to watch out for there. West Coast made their sub, Hamish Davis. I assume tactically was taken out of the game in that final term. Noah Long, who came on, kicked the goal, was brought in to proceedings in the fourth quarter.
So just on the Hawks side of that, 2 weeks' time they play on the 10th of May, which is a Saturday. So that would give Amon and Scrimshaw you'd think the 12 days to get back for that game on that Saturday. So they play Richmond next week, so they obviously will both miss that, having both been subbed out with concussion, and then they play Melbourne on the 10th, which is a Saturday arvo.
And West Coast has Melbourne next up as well at Perth Stadium. That's Saturday, 5:35 local time. West Coast next assignment. It's hard to sort of know where that win is going to come from. So they've got Melbourne next week at home. They've got Richmond here the week after at the MCG. So there you go. There's a sneaky chance there, I suppose, but the Eagles now slumped to 0-7 in this campaign so far. All right, Berkey, Kez, we'll chat through a few other things shortly. Who gets the 3 best players in the ABC Footballer of the Year?
Kez, for a dour defender, she's pretty good at the flick pass. She just flicked me one straight away there. So I've given 3 to Josh Battle. Thought he was very, very good, just controlled the back line for the whole game. Got to give 2 to the old fella in Gunston for kicking 4. And you can chuck a blanket over who gets 1. But for coming into the side and performing really well, I've given Henry Huswaite 1.
Any arguments, Kez?
No, absolutely not. Not when I do a late handball like that. I've got to go with whatever the consensus is.
It seems pretty good. 3 Battle, 2 Gunston, 1 Huswaite on his return in the ABC.
About starting with the 3 just quietly. You got to build
build up
suspense up, Berkey.
Yeah. That's true, actually. I didn't think of that.
Is there a rule which way you've got to go?
It's more of a guideline more than a rule.
Okay.
I do.
More of a convention.
Never too old to learn new things.
We have a 3-2-1 system in the NRL coverage as well, and they usually start with the 3. I think Aussie rules, we do start from 1 because of the Brownlow convention, isn't it, with them? But anyway, I don't mind it, Berkey, just backing yourself in with the 3. Josh Battle.
I'm going to go 2 first and then completely confuse you all.
That's how it used to be years ago. They used to do the Brownlow with like the 1 votes first, then the 2 votes, then the 3s, which just to me seems crazy. Anyway, you can text us 0437 774 774. G'day all. Yes, this comes from the perspective of a Hawks fan of 50 plus years, but I think it's all shaping up nicely. We're playing crappy football, yet we pushed along to 7 points, beat the Giants. We're 5-2, and it's only April. There's so much improvement to come from players that are much better than their current form, says Pete in Ballarat. And I suppose chief among them is their leader.
It's a good call.
Razor from Rockingham, would you agree the Eagles are about playing for each other? I see so many times when players are looking for stats, not best options. And these things will come up when a team is beset by its limited skill level and, yucky form line. You can try to look for these things. But did you see anything like that in West Coast today? Or
not really. I'm looking at the ex-Richmond guys, see what they're going to do. Graham and these guys, Baker, if they start doing that to just get themselves stats, then it's really going to be an issue. And I'm going to be really, really harsh here. It's what Gary Ablett Jr. did when he went to the Gold Coast. He ran around getting 40 touches a game. If he ran up to the third row of the grandstand, they'd still kick him the ball and handball him the ball. And he taught a generation of Gold Coast Suns how to play for yourself, how to play the wrong way. And I this is really harsh, but I think that set
them back.
It set them back because they were running around trying to play like Gary Ablett, and none of them were as good as Gary Ablett. They modelled themselves on his game, and he was the only one who could do that. And it absolutely set them back. And I'm hoping that, Graham and Baker and those sort of blokes don't think, I've won 3 flags, all I want to do is Garrett here, and we're not going to win the game. I'm just going to get myself 25, 30 touches and job done. Minnie McGualter has to really, really be mindful that they don't fall into that trap.
Harley Reid's an interesting watch when you watch the Eagles because your eyes kind of get drawn to him in terms of, his behaviour and that kind of thing. I mean, we hold these guys to such a high standard. He's, 20 years old. He would be immensely frustrated by the way that things are going. He's used to absolutely dominating at every level of football that he's ever played, probably even playing senior footy against blokes up in the Murray League at Tongala. And then all of a sudden he comes into this environment where, this team's won 10 of 73 games over the last 3 seasons, and things are so much harder to come by in terms of that. So sometimes you can sort of get caught in the trap of watching Harley Reid and go, gee, some of that frustration and the outward emotion that he displays might be construed as not being or not doing the right thing as far as team goes. But, I mean, he's so early in his football journey that it's a really tough spot to be for a young player.
Yeah, it is. And part of that is managing the expectations. And, I mean, you can't manage the expectations of all the members of West Coast or of any team in the situation that they're in at the moment. People are going to make up their own minds on what they expect from players of the likes of Harley Reid. It's really what the expectation is within those 4 walls. And that's what becomes really hard when you're having consecutive losses over and over, and really disheartening kind of performances is that as long those expectations need to be set and really driven by, and in terms of behaviours, by the likes of Baker and by the likes of Graham, who have been there and done that before, and teaching the likes of Harley Reid, hey, this is what we value in your game, as opposed to running around getting 35, which I'm sure he absolutely could if he's talented enough and capable enough of doing that. I'm not seeing that from him, and I'm not seeing it from the other players, at this point in time. But that is where the strength of the leadership, not just in terms of the playing group, but the coaching staff and the board, and really sticking to the value that and the behaviours that you're trying to model. From a Monday to Friday as much as it is on the weekend.
And part of that, sticking to your decisions as a coach. So if you're Andrew McQualter, for example, are you persisting with Oscar Allen down back? Sort of takes the conversation there a little bit as far as whether that does happen against Melbourne next week, or...
Question is it a necessity at the moment because that's all they've got, or is that a long-term plan that they want to put in place?
They don't have a monstrous injury list. Like, in terms of the players that are listed on their injury list, it's Dom Sheed, who's out for the season, Elliot Yeo and Campbell Chesser.
Yeah.
Harry Edwards played last week, got given an absolute spifflication by Peter Wright, and so he doesn't play. But Allen is a far better forward than he will ever be as a defender. He got made to look pretty ordinary a few times by Mabior Chol today.
Yeah, like Mabior Chol is not Jason Dunstall playing up there in the forward line. There's not many that are, but he's certainly not that. But I'd love somebody in that press conference to just say why. What's the reasoning behind it? Because I'm with you. I'd rather kick a goal than stop a goal.
There's a medium-sized option in Bo Allen, who's got a great vertical leap, who could potentially slot in the defensive side of the ground. He's, I know, a player that West Coast fans are keen to get back in that side. But
is Bailey Williams injured at the moment?
Not according to the list that they posted during the week.
He could do that job on Mabior Chol far better than Oscar Allen would. Bailey Williams needs to get out of there and get to St Kilda, to be totally honest.
So what Oscar Allen's giving you 4 out of 10 down back, and on a bad day he might give you a 6 out of 10 up front.
Yep.
It lowers your ceiling significantly to have him there. It might raise your floor, maybe, but in terms of the overall, the bigger picture here, what are you trying to play for? Are you trying to play to raise the floor or to raise the ceiling?
It's a reverse Tom McCartan issue.
Yes.
Let's look back on round 7 just briefly. So it began back on Thursday night, the Anzac Day Eve clash. Melbourne beat Richmond by 20 points, and that was a big win for Simon Goodwin's men. On Anzac Day, Collingwood saw off Essendon by 41 points there in the end, and of course Jamie Elliott had 5 goals in that game, and Josh Dacos, 36 disposals. In the Land Hall Tribute game over in Perth on Friday night, Freo beat Adelaide by 18 points. That actually also puts them just outside the 8. They were there briefly, but just outside the 8 now, the Dockers, after that win. In the games yesterday, here at Docklands, the Brisbane Lions beat St Kilda by 45 points. North, so close yet so far in Adelaide, lost to the Power by 9 points. And in Canberra, the Bulldogs won there by 32 points. So that's now back-to-back wins for the Doggies, and they will end the round in 8th spot. So up top, Collingwood and Brisbane are level. Same number of games, some number of wins. Of course, Gold Coast still with a game in hand, sitting 4 points behind them. Hawthorn now up into the top 4, and then a game behind there. Adelaide, the Giants, the Cats and the Bulldogs make up the lower part of that top 8, with Freo and Port Adelaide sitting outside on percentage. Carlton had a win today, 3 in a row for them, so of course they beat Geelong by 18 points at the MCG, and they're sitting in 11th. Essendon 12th, and St Kilda also with those 3 wins. The Sydney Swans, who were beaten today by the Gold Coast Suns by 38 points. That was a 67-point turnaround for the Gold Coast Suns. 12 straight goals at one stage, and the Swans now slumped to 14th. They've got the derby against the Giants next week, and they need to win as well. The Giants, Melbourne 15th, Richmond 16th, North second last, and West Coast now 0-7 after the loss here. Looking ahead to next week quickly, it starts on Thursday night here at Docklands, Essendon v North Melbourne. On Friday, St Kilda Freo here at Docklands again. Saturday, they're in Ballarat for the Dogs and Port Adelaide. The Crows face Carlton Adelaide Oval on the middle game on Saturday. And then 2 night games. Collingwood faces Geelong, West Coast v Melbourne. On Sunday, Sydney Derby 30 from the Sydney Cricket Ground, the Swans and the Giants. Hawthorn, Richmond at the MCG. And the Q Clash will see us end with a night game on the Sunday to close round 8. So there you have it. Hawthorn winners here in the final game of round 7 by 50 points over the West Coast Eagles. Thank you, Joel Peterson. Nice to see you as always.
Good to see you, Spriggy.
Thank you, Karen Peterson.
Thanks, Spriggy.
All the best for you guys. If I don't see you in the next few months, Nathan Burke, I'll see you soon, I'm sure.
You're not coming down to Tasmania with me next weekend?
No, I'm at the G in a couple of weeks, hoping to see West Coast win a game finally against Richmond.
Coming to Tassie?
Not for me.
Joel?
Thanks, Burkie.
No.
Stu?
Thanks to Stu Birchmore, thanks to Alexia Pesha, and thanks to Mitch in the studio. To you, most importantly, for your company right across today and the weekend. We'll see you on Thursday as round 8 begins. We say farewell from Docklands on ABC Sport.
And now away to Meek. Meek, a little one off to Morrison, kicks inside the 50. It's a neat delivery Gunston sprawls forth and marks. 45 from home, 10 in from the boundary, 13 goals in his 4 games so far this season. The 3-time leading goal kicker, the sharpshooter, Jack Gunston is money with the set shot. And the Hawks are on the board in a major sense. Warple to Amon, kick from halfway, looking for Gunston inside forward 50, controls it, protects the drop, gives it to Ginnivan, and Ginnivan's back on the goal scoring list. Jack wastes no time making his return to the big stage.
They'll rebound through Sicily, kick was over Cook here, Duggan chops it off, comes through for the Eagles, goes deep to full forward, Waterman obliges. And controls the overhead mark in the left forward pocket. Jack Waterman, 4 goals against Essendon last week. He opens up with a snap and curls it around. And West Coast do have their first goal. Marrick's kick is a dicey one, picked off by Warble. He closes to 45 and makes them pay. Indeed he does. Things going from bad to worse from the Bolters then.
Handball back to Meek. This one a little bit more effective from the big man. Floats over the head of McDonald, who immediately gave the lightning handball to Hardwick. On to Ginnivan, around to Morrison. He hooks it home. Doing well was Davis. Handed it off to Flynn. Tumbled a kick inside the forward 50. Bouncing ball. Who does it sit for? Oh, brilliant from Archer Reid. Tapped it to Ryan, who slid it home. 2 goals for Liam Ryan, but that was all courtesy of the craft of big Archer Reid.
Bursting off half-back Carl Amon. Left foot kick down the line. Oh, is it squirted out okay there? Weddle, if he paid the mark, he is. So Weddle, 45 from goal, plays on. Gives it everything all the way home. Top of the goal square, rising in front, not being able to pull it down was Archer Reid. Spills to Harley Reid, arches the back, finds some space and shows his considerable class. That's the kind of glimpse that makes you wonder what on earth this man could be. Hawks inside forward 50 here. Meek lays it down beautifully for Warple, hands it off to Newcomb, whips it around the body and finishes in style. That is sharp stoppage work from Hawthorn. Ward's kick to half forward. Connor McDonald. He comes sauntering in, got dealt with after he took the mark. Marrick gave him one across the shoulder and gives away a rather soft 50-metre penalty. He'd have to fall over to miss this. And Connor McDonald finds his range. The Hawks back on the winners list and back in the top 4. That could have been slicker, but they do get the win and plunge West Coast further into the mire of their worst era. The Hawks by 50.